All right, my screen says you are live, which usually means I'm live. Let me go open this other tab up and make sure. Sometimes YouTube puts it on a little bit of a delay. Well, they always put it on a little bit of a delay for whatever reason, but all right, looks like I'm on, guys. All right, it's Friday night. Good to be here. I can't believe it's Friday already. Did this week go by fast for you guys too? I mean, it went by like crazy fast for me. It was like Monday, and then I swear I just woke up and it was Friday all of a sudden. Like 5 days went by in the span of one day somehow. But hey, this is my busy time of year, so time flies whether you're having fun or not, right? All right, let's see who's here tonight. Looks like Tim 18 Wheels was here first. How's it going, Tim? Cave Dave, what's up? Warsaw Patriot. Ninja Scout. And I think that's it for now. I'm sure more guys are coming in a minute. It usually takes a second for people to get their alerts, but good to have you guys here. Looks like you guys are already talking a little bit about a few guns. I see some Glock talk here, and I am going to be showing you guys my Glock 22 that I've shown in several streams. Been kind of upgrading it, turned it into a little, I guess we should call these pistol caliber pistols, right? It's kind of a weird concept, but the classic saying has been PCC, pistol caliber carbine. Well, with a brace, they're obviously not a carbine. They're still a pistol. So as stupid as it sounds, I think we need to properly call them pistol caliber pistols, right? Or PCPs. So I'm going to give you guys another look at that Glock 22. I've pretty much got it where I want it to be. One more part I'm waiting to get in, but other than that, it's coming along pretty good. What's up, Alaskan Ballistics? Good to see you here, man. Tree Guy, how's it going? What's up, Seth? Brester, there you are. How's it going, man? Yeah, semi-auto machine pistol. I wish they were machine pistols. If it wasn't for that stupid Hughes Amendment, 1986, we could buy modern machine pistols, right? I don't know if that's ever going to get repealed. I want it to get repealed, and any cause that's trying to fight it, or if there's any legislation, I'm going to be all over it, guys. Trust me. But man, nowadays it seems like we're just fighting just to kind of cling to the rights we have and just maintain this new status quo where it seems like, well, hey, look, we're not trying to take all your guns, so just let us take a few of them. And it seems like that's the new thing that they're trying to parlay, right? Like it's I mean, we had the House, we had the Senate, we had the Republican president. We had that for a couple of years, and I didn't really see anything happen to repeal any gun control legislation. I didn't really see anything happen that promoted guns or you know, a national concealed carry reciprocity. Where's that at? Removing silencers from the National Firearms Act. That didn't happen. Instead, we've had bump stocks banned. We've had additional sanctions put on Russian guns. You know, for a while, we could get a couple different makers of Russian AKs. Remember the Sagas and the cool arsenal conversions they used to do, the SGL series? Well, Obama got rid of those. I thought when Trump ran, he said that your 8-year attack on the Second Amendment's over and that he was going to repeal that. He didn't repeal it. Instead, he further sanctioned and banned the Molot Vepers. So now we can't get any AKs from Russia at all. Bump stocks, those went pretty quick, didn't they? I mean, I focused on bump stocks pretty hard, guys, for about a month. I was covering it the best I could. Now, me being a very small channel, I realized I didn't have much reach, but I tried and tried. I was talking about it till I was blue in the face, trying to get more people aware, trying to get people to realize that, you know, just because we're Republicans and just because we might like a lot of things that Trump's doing, and we might even think he's a great president overall, we can't just support everything Trump says just because, you know, he might have been the person we voted for, or because he has an R behind his name. And look, I'm not going to try to switch this topic to really, like, you know, get into Trump's whole presidency. That's not really the purpose of my channel. I mainly focus on guns, gun rights, things like that. But it's like, man, I do agree with a lot of the things Trump's doing with immigration. I agree with what he's doing for the economy. As a small business owner, I get to take advantage of some of the new, you know, tax deductions and credits that were given for small businesses. So I'll praise Trump for that. But at the same time, under Trump, you know, we're still getting stuff banned, and we're still getting calls for further bans. You know, the red flag laws, like, take them quick. Take the guns first, then due process later. That's what our Republican president said. And of course, we have Republican senators now that are also echoing the same thing. We have Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, and others. And it just seems like that's where we're at. So, you know, this all got me started because someone said machine pistol. Now, I know that was probably said as a joke, but it's just sad that we have to joke about those types of things, that we have to actually look at like a machine pistol as taboo, like, oh, you know, you can't have that. Or if you can get one that's legally transferable, that was grandfathered in right before the 86 Hughes Amendment, you're going to spend minimum $8,000. And that's for one that's kind of considered a POS, like an old Ingram that has a bunch of rounds shot through it, or, you know, Mac 11 type gun. To get a true modern day, you can't really get any modern day NFA, you know, transferable machine guns. That's the problem. You know, you could get an M16. You might be able to get a lightning link, but those types of things that are kind of, you know, they're able to be put in modern platforms, they're so freaking expensive. How many of us have 30 grand or even 50 grand to have a transferable M16 or M4 type weapon? How about an AK? The couple of those that are on the registry that are still transferable are basically unobtainium. You know, maybe they're worth 30 grand in theory, but probably more than that because there's so few, the people that have them, they're not for sale. So I don't know, guys. Is that where we're at? Is we just have to sit and play defensive forever? And here's what sucks, you know. The left will call them, and, you know, the Democrats in general, they're always going after our guns. That's something they're very consistent on. They've been going after our guns for a long, long time. And then when we had that trifecta in place where we had the president, the House, and the Senate, at the very least, we should have really actively tried to push these bills through. And when I say we, I don't mean me and you. We're all actively wanting to push it through. I mean, like, the people that represent us, our elected officials in Washington, where we elected them on gun rights, and most of them ran as pro-gun, right? And a lot of them just assumed that since they had an R behind their name, they would get the pro-gun vote. Why didn't we challenge the Democrats and put them on the defensive? Why didn't we just have this whole smorgasbord just to, like, order from off a menu? Why weren't there so many hundreds of pro-gun bills put up there, passed through committees, and actually put on the floor for votes, to where the Democrats had to start playing defensive, where they had to get on their heels and backpedal? Instead, you know what I kind of noticed happen? For those couple of years that, quote, we were in charge, the supposed pro-gun party was in charge, we sat there and did hardly anything. I mean, kind of put a few pro-gun bills up here and there that never really got serious consideration in both chambers of Congress. Maybe one of them would make its way through the House, but then never got any serious recognition by Senator McConnell, right? The leader of the Senate Majority Leader. I never saw any of that stuff happen. I never saw it where we were really, really pushing the Democrats to where they would have to fight back and dig in and get on their heels and play defensive. So I think what happened is the Republicans in Washington just kind of sat there complacent and kind of put a couple things up there to appease us a little bit, but never really dug in to expand gun rights. And it allowed the Democrats to just sit there. And instead of digging in and trying to fight pro-gun bills, they were able to keep on writing more and more drafts, and they were able to keep on perpetuating their gun control for the day that they were able to take the House back over, and now, boom, here we are. I mean, if there's not 50 gun control bills right now that are in some stages of committee or draft or first reading, I'm probably exaggerating on the small side. There's probably 50 or more gun control bills right now. And I just didn't see our party putting up that many, you know? And I'm not saying all of you guys are Democrats in here, Republicans. I'm sure most of you guys are probably generally Republicans. And look, when I say us and we, I just mean, like, you know, I obviously don't align myself completely with the Republican Party at all. But when I've got a candidate that's basically like, you know, look, your 8-year attack on the Second Amendment is over. If you elect me, I will support your right to keep and bear arms. I will rescind some of the past executive decisions and actions. And then you have the other one saying, I want Australian-style gun control, because that's the choices that we had last election. Yeah, I'm going to probably, in that case, you know, I voted for Trump. I did. I voted for the Republican. Not that I ever really thought he was pro-gun. Not that I even believed half of what he said, but because the alternative was Hillary Clinton, and there was no way I could vote for her. Now, next election, I'll be honest with you guys, it's going to be tough for me. I'm very, very active in the political process. I truly believe that this country was intended and founded and became the great country it is, that it's supposed to be a country of the people and by the people, and that we're supposed to rule this country, and we're supposed to elect people to Congress and a president that represent our interests, that will come back and represent our home districts, represent our states, and basically pass laws that are the general will of the people. I believe in that form of government. I believe voting is a very, very important part of that. But I've always had a premise, a deeply held premise, that I can't vote for you if you're anti-gun. So am I going to be able to vote for Beto? Well, no, we know he's anti-gun. Elizabeth Warren, no. That new guy that I can't even pronounce his name, that speaks a couple different languages, I don't even remember his name, to be honest, but I'm not going to vote for him. So it's going to be tough. But how can I vote for Trump either? Because the way I looked at it when he said your attack on the Second Amendment is over, what did that mean? I literally, again, not that I totally believed him, guys, but just humor me here. I believe that means that we wouldn't have any more gun control that was endorsed, proposed, or out and out ordered by the president. But that's exactly what we've had. We've had an executive decision to ban a whole category of firearms from import with the Moloch company, with the Vepr rifles and others. There were Mosin Nagants that they owned, things like that. Little old harmless bolt action rifles, which you and I know are not harmless, very caliber potent 7.62 by 54R, but considered by the gun grabbers to be something we're allowed to have. Even those got caught up and were banned by President Trump, a lot of them. Now we're getting some in from the Ukraine now, etc., but Molot actually owned a lot of those, and they were getting imported through Wolf, WPA imports. Those have dried up. You'll notice the Mosin Nagants are no longer $100 anymore. They're $340. Why? Because supply and demand. Yeah, there's an increased demand in the country, but there's also a decreased supply. And that was something that just with a signature on a piece of paper, our president signed in. He could have very easily not signed that, by the way, and he could have unsigned Obama's Kalashnikov concern ban, and then we'd have both to choose from. We'd have two different competing Russian firearms Kalashnikov makers that would be keeping the price low, right? Because there'd be competition, and competition tends to drive prices down in our economic system. So we have that to deal with. We had Trump literally order his attorney general to get rid of bump stocks, just get rid of them. And as we know, and I've covered this a lot, they wrote one of the most convoluted, nonsensical orders that was like 80 pages long, and it basically essentially bans almost everything semi-auto, guys. That's what it does. The bump stock ban appears to have come and gone. I can't say the fight against it's dead, and I can't say it's alive either. The GOA, Firearms Policy Foundation, they're kind of being a little mum on it lately. I don't really have a lot of updates, and I've been trying. I've been calling them. They haven't called me back in the past, and I don't know if they're going to call me back. So I'm trying, guys, but as of right now, I can't really say that the litigation's dead with the bump stock ban, but it appears the ban's gone fully into effect, and there's not really a whole lot necessarily going on to stop it. So that was ordered by our president. I know he's been a strong proponent for the red flag laws. He was the one that initially announced it on TV that day that he wanted that to go on. And I have a little bit more on the red flag laws in a second, but I don't know. I guess we just have to sit back and play defensive, and there's an election coming up. Who's going to win? I don't know. Is it even going to matter, though? Because we know for a fact if a Democrat wins, that's going to be terrible for gun rights. Oh, of course. But I just named 3 things right now that are going on with our Republican president, and those aren't good either. And not the least of them would be the red flag laws. Like, these are possibly the scariest and most infringing, proposed gun control we've possibly ever had. This literally sets new precedent on so many levels. Not only is it obviously just complete atrocity to the Second Amendment and completely against the Founding Fathers' intention and affirming that God-given right with the right to keep and bear arms, but it also violates so many other amendments too. Gosh, it violates about half of them if you actually go through. So, you've got Fourth Amendment. You've got the Fifth Amendment. You've even got the 10th Amendment with states' rights and the way they're going to tie funding to this. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with these red flag laws. And I would literally say, and here's the thing, guys, it's so hard for me to it's so hard for me to really decide which one's worse. Look, the first time we ever had a major law against guns, the National Firearms Act of 1934, that's where it mainly started. And it's been going ever since. Now, which one's the worst? I don't know. I'm going to say probably red flag laws is right up there, though. It's just, it's hard for me to pin myself to say, well, this one's worse than the other one, because it's like, what would you pick? If you had only one choice, you're going to die in a fire or die of drowning. Like, which one would you pick? And that was your only two scenarios? Well, nobody wants to pick either, right? They're both terrible. So I don't know what's worse. If red flag laws are worse, if the National Firearms Act is worse, if the GCA is worse, they're all bad. Basically, I'm going to go on a little limb here, guys. I just wanted to preface it with all that. I don't want you guys to think for 1 minute like, oh, dude, don't forget about this gun control bill or that. Every gun control law we've ever had, from the very first one, complete and utter BS. Let me say that. But with that said, I think red flag laws are the worst. I really, really do. Because at least with other gun control, and I say at least like very, very tongue-in-cheek, guys. Trust me. At least with the other gun control bills, there was always like a way around it a little bit. Like, okay, fine, you can't get a machine gun anymore, but you can still at least have a semi-auto. Or maybe it said like, well, you can't easily get a silencer, but if you want to wait 6 months to a year for a tax stamp and pay $200, you can still get one. Assault weapons bans we've had in the past. It's like, well, at least the ones you had are grandfathered in, and you can keep those. And at least there's kind of clones of the, quote, assault rifles that have similar features. And for all intents and purposes, are kind of sort of the same, but maybe they're missing a muzzle device. Maybe they're missing the shoulder thing that goes up. Maybe they're missing the 30 caliber clip, And again, I'm not making light of any of those. They were all terrible, but at least we could in the 90s buy like a Chinese, Mac 90, and that was considered grandfathered in as a non-assault weapon. At least, there were different like HK variants. And then that bill at least had a sunset. So again, not making light of that. There's always been like a little way where we can kind of keep on, pressing on, and we can kind of like have a few scraps to chew on still. But and then the other thing with all of these is if you were accused of committing a crime, let's just say that the ATF thought that you had a bayonet installed. And you said, well, no, mine was grandfathered in or whatever. At least you would have due process, and you would have your day in court where they would have to prosecute you, and then they would have to actually try you and give you your trial if you so desire, which I would recommend anyone ask for a trial, by the way, if you're ever in trouble. But you would have a trial by the jury of your peers, and you would be presumed innocent during this whole time, and it would be a burden of proof on the state that's prosecuting you, whether it's the federal government or the individual state, but the government would have to have the burden of proof to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that you're guilty. There couldn't be any doubt. If there's even a small doubt that, well, maybe this person wasn't guilty, maybe they didn't know they were doing anything wrong, things like that play in jurors' minds, you're innocent the whole time. Well, red flag laws are a little bit different. And how Trump put it, like take them quick, take the guns first, due process later. I wonder if it's been brought to his attention by the people, by the American people, by people like me and you all that think like we do. I wonder how many people have been getting it to him somehow, the message that, no, dude, there is no such thing as due process later. Like, you can't have that. Because due process by its very definition is you start off innocent until you're proven guilty. That's one of the main, essential parts of the definition of due process, right? And that it's the burden of the state to have proof. And that you must be convicted guilty of a crime by a jury of your peers. And until that guilt, you are presumed innocent. You can't do that later. It just doesn't work. Like, there's certain things in life that if you switch the order around, it might change it a little bit. And it might make it, sway one side to the other, but not with due process. That's one of those things where there's literally a red line. You can't switch it around. I mean, obviously, this is what our government's trying to do now. This is what our president suggested, that we switch it around, but you can't, because as soon as you do, it's no longer due process. So when somebody says due process later, but to take your property first, essentially what they're saying is they're still using the word due process, right? So they can try to make it still sound like they're reasonable, and they can still make it sound like they're following the Constitution. But don't believe that BS. Due process later basically means something like this. I, the President of the United States, are now asking Congress to make a law that we will get rid of due process, that this country will no longer have the rules that bind it, that demand that the government considers people innocent or proven guilty. I want to repeal that. I also want to repeal the fact that people have the unalienable right in this country to property and to be secure in their effects and their papers. I want to repeal that too. And by the way, I won't repeal the Second Amendment, but I'll just make it so weak that it doesn't really matter so much anymore. He's not going to say that, guys. He's not going to say that on TV. But anyone with a brain that actually looks at the Bill of Rights and understands how each one of them are worded very specifically for a reason, and that if they weren't worded very short like how they are, and they weren't worded very concisely like they are, they would have been shredded apart a long time ago. But now people actually have the guts to get up there on the national stage and say, well, I'll do due process later. It's just insulting to me. And I don't know, maybe this country is just to the point now where I'm giving the people too much credit. I don't think so. I think there's still, most people are at least fairly intelligent and at least have the ability to read. Here's what we need to do, guys. We need to help spread the word and get it out there to our politicians at the lowest levels, all the way up to the highest levels, including President Trump, and say, no, we know what due process is, sir. And if you do due process later, you're actually getting rid of due process. So here's what we're going to fight you on. We're not going to fight you on due process later. That's a circular argument. It means nothing. No, we need to take the fight right to what's really going on here. They're trying to eliminate due process. They're trying to eliminate us being secure in our effects and our papers. And they're also really trying to eliminate a good portion, if not all, of the Second Amendment. Because that's the thing with all of these amendments. None of these amendments stand if you got like half of them. This isn't like, if I'm sitting here with this iced tea, 18.5 ounces, and I've drank 14, at least I have 6 left. Yeah, that's kind of sort of how the assault weapons bans have worked in the past. But that is not how red flag laws work. Red flags are literally like this. I could be preparing for a rainy day, and I could have all the iced tea I need, so I'm not going to get dehydrated. And then all of a sudden, in this case, firearms, obviously, I could have all the firearms I need. They're all grandfathered in. I bought them ahead of time. I bought them all properly, legally. So this is our conventional way of thinking with gun control. So if there's ever a ban, okay, if there's ever a new assault weapons ban, because we've all lived through them in the past, right? We know it. We hope it doesn't happen again. We're going to fight in tooth and nail to stop it. But we know it's possible, right? So we've lined up our ducks in a row. We have all of our pre-ban magazines ready. All of our guns that may later be deemed assault weapons, we have them. Well, that used to be good advice. Now, that's not even good advice anymore, because you know what happens under red flag laws? If somebody doesn't like you and has a bone to pick with you and wants to ruin your life, they're now able to use the strong arm of the law, and they're allowed to have men with guns come to your home and take all of your guns. It's not going to matter if the gun, it's not going to matter if it's a semi-automatic single-stack pistol. Nope. It's not going to matter if it's an AK that has a thumb hole stock that was never considered an assault weapon. That's not going to matter. It's not going to matter if it's a single-shot youth-sized Cricket 22. All of them gone. Taken away from you by people with guns, mind you. And then you know what happens? You're presumed guilty right off the bat because, like I said, first they come and take your guns. They're gone. You don't have them anymore. God forbid if someone breaks in your house that night. God forbid if that person that had a bone to pick with you, that red flagged you, what if they're red flagging you to disarm you and then they're going to come back and do something to you the next day or a week later? Come on. It's not too hard to think that somebody might be out there scheming something like that. So you're completely and utterly guilty. And then you get to go, okay, here's the crazy part about it. Then there's a court hearing, an ex parte hearing. And what that basically means is the accused isn't involved, not even notified. You can't even go there and tell your side of the story. Your lawyer can't even go there and make objections to the prosecutor. They can't even go like up to the judge's bench like they do and say, Your Honor, I object. I'd like to ask for an extension on this so we can file this paperwork and that paperwork like you do with due process, right? In the court systems. No, all of that's gone. Your guns are gone. They took them. Now, here's what you get to do. And this is where the president would say due process later. Well, now you get to go in and now you get to fight back. But here's the problem. That's not due process, people. That's you're guilty. Now you have to prove your innocence. This is how so-called banana republics work. This is the way it works in other countries where if you become an enemy of the state and the ruler and his henchmen don't like you, they just simply say, go get him. Take all of his stuff. Take his money. Pillage his house. Pillage his fortune. Take everything he's ever worked for. And we'll just lock him up in a cold, dark cell and see if he can prove himself worthy to come back into society. So there are countries that do have court systems like this, and there's countries that operate on that level and have since the beginning of time, to be quite honest, but not in the United States, you know. And this is obviously a huge, huge gun issue, guys. It's obviously has everything to do with guns, but at the same time, this is just a civil rights issue and a human rights issue too, because at the same time that it has everything to do with guns, the general premise behind this actually has nothing to do with guns at all. Because back to another amendment we have that says you should be people will be secure in their effects and their papers. So that means that I'm protected with due process, innocent till proven guilty. If my government says, I don't want you to have this article from Ammo Land, they can't just come and take this until they get a proper warrant from a judge and there's reasonable and articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime or that a crime is currently afoot. Well, with this little newspaper article being completely legal, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to say, well, I don't want, Glock Shooter 79 to be able to read Ammo Land. And then they actually go forth to the judge to ask for that. Well, you're probably not going to get that warrant. Let's hope not. Let's hope there's still a little First Amendment left. This sheet of paper I just showed you guys is constitutionally, I mean, I'm literally saying by what the Bill of Rights says and the Constitution says is no different than this handgun. This handgun is every bit as legal. And the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. It should not be treated any differently than any other item. So if they want to say, well, guns are dangerous, they can say that all they want because you and I know they're inanimate objects. They can't be dangerous. There's dangerous people, right? And when you take the guns away, look at Europe. They go to swords. They go to knives. All these crazy things. Other third world countries, they use stonings. So the whole it's dangerous argument's BS. Let me show you something else that's dangerous. This just happens to be sitting right here. This is 100% pure silicone grease. Okay, just humor me, guys. Now, this obviously would be, there's a whole warning on the back that cautious, if ingested, cause poison control. If swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Keep out of reach of children. So you could argue actually that this is dangerous, right, guys? Well, why do I have it sitting here? Well, silicone grease is great for lubricating O-rings, rubber parts, because unlike a lot of greases, you put it on like a rubber O-ring, most types of grease and oil will actually attack that O-ring and soften it and weaken it. Not silicone grease. It's great to have. Now, could you imagine the government just walking in here right now and saying, I'm going to take this silicone grease from you? You wouldn't have to be a gun person. Just take guns out of it for right now to argue against that and say, no. That's Glock Shooter's property. Just by this being property, lawfully purchased and owned property, you can't just come take that. You have to literally go get a warrant. And if there is a warrant granted somehow for this, they could seize it, but then I'd be innocent. I still wouldn't be guilty of silicone grease possession. I would be charged with it. And there's a big difference between that. What then would have to happen is the state, beyond any reasonable doubt, would have to say, he had this for ill purposes. There's no reason he should have this. And we can prove he was committing a crime by owning this. That's what they would have to do under the United States of America and our founding documents and our judicial system and our Bill of Rights. Guys, this tube of silicone grease just happened to be the quickest thing I found here. You could apply it to anything. Am I allowed to have this flash drive? Am I allowed to have this strainer that goes in my power washer hose inlet so debris from someone's dirty well doesn't clog up my pump? Of course we can have these things. Really, there's only one difference. Yes, the Constitution generally permits that we can privately own property, but it also further enumerates the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So actually, these guys right here are even further protected than your normal inanimate object that we own. So yeah, red flag laws, guys, scary on so many levels. And this is one where the left wing, if you will, are they really that stupid, guys? Because the writing's on the wall. What they're going to do here is they're going to literally cut off their own nose to spite their face. That's exactly what they're going to do because they're all supporting these red flag laws. And they think that it's just about the guns. Well, guess what? As soon as you can red flag guns, which are, again, lawfully owned property, enumerated in the Bill of Rights, so in my opinion, even extra specially protected property. I believe this is actually more protected to own than this. Notwithstanding, we should be able to own this too. I think you guys get what I'm saying. But this is even more highly protected to own because it's literally listed like by name, arms. Well, what's the left going to do here? Because the left all of a sudden is acting like they're fine. And when I say the left, I just mean people that want to enact socialism, that want to enact control, who do not believe the Constitution means what it's written and want to fundamentally change our government and want to fundamentally change how the people are ruled over. That's what I mean by the left. So what are the supporters of this thinking? They really think that a government that can become so tyrannical that they can take your property, you're guilty, and now you have to prove your innocence. They don't think that's going to happen for other things? Really? What about the things that they like? What if they like speech? What if they like an article that's about something that's a little bit controversial, that's not considered mainstream? Do they not think that once this gets set as precedents? I mean, there's 15 states now that have enacted red flag laws, and there's a federal bill that's going to try to incentivize all of them to pass them. Hey, if you want these federal funds, your state will pass a red flag law that meets the certain criteria that we're going to write out. That's what the Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio bill says. And I would note, they're both Republicans. So notice I'm not just saying Republicans and Democrats. It's basically like people that are for the Constitution and for the people, and then the other group of people, regardless of what letter's behind their name, and they're for tyranny, they're for socialism, they're for, I hate to say it, almost dictatorships, oligarchies, where there's a small ruling few that just get to crush and scare all the people at a whim. And it reminds me of that saying. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but it's good to remind ourselves of this. You know, we want liberty, right? And all of us despise tyranny. Well, just remember, when the government fears the people, there's liberty. But when the people fear the government, then there's tyranny. And I have to bring that up because I think it's very applicable to red flag laws. I think a lot of their goal is just to get as many guns out of the hands of citizens as they can. That's obviously part of it. The other reason, though, I think, is to try to scare us and make us where we're fearful, where we can't come out and exercise our First Amendment rights. I mean, it's going to make it really hard, guys. How could I even continue to do this YouTube channel if Michigan passes a red flag law, if the whole country passes red flag laws? Would it even be prudent for me and my family, considering these guns are my lawfully purchased property that I'm using as investments to help pay future bills? Maybe if we need to add on to the house someday, maybe for my daughter's college. These are my property. These are things I've worked very hard for. Would it even be prudent for me to get on here and talk about guns and hold guns up in front of the camera, knowing that anybody that's watching this, no matter how sick and demented they are, could put in a phone call and have them come and take all of these from me, possibly destroying them, scratching them, letting them get rusty while I'm fighting to prove my innocence? So really what this red flag law is about is it's scaring people into not exercising their other God-given rights, making you afraid to exercise your First Amendment, making you worried whether the Fourth Amendment's going to hold for you anymore, whether the Fifth Amendment's going to, making you question the 10th Amendment, whether states actually have rights, and whether the powers that are not specifically enumerated in the Constitution for the federal government are then left to the states and then ultimately to the people. It's to make us scared, guys. It's to make us scared to actually literally believe in the founding principles that made this country so great. This great experiment of the people running the government and the government being public servants. Remember, they're supposed to be the servants, not us. That's the way our country was formed. Well, when you try to take control of something, usually what you do is a couple things. You try to incrementally squeeze in on people and make it happen so slow that they don't even realize it's happening. And then when they really start to move in, you make them scared. And then when people are scared, it's hard for them to make rational decisions. People start making emotional decisions. They start making decisions out of fear. They start making decisions out of anger or what have you. And it's just not going to be good, guys, when our country literally starts getting ruled completely on emotion, because that's what basically red flag laws are. if somebody feels that they are threatened, if they're afraid. Now, there doesn't have to be any reasonable or articulable suspicion. It doesn't go to that high of a level. A police officer can't just come in and take my guns unless he has reasonable and articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime. That's just for him to detain me. He has to have that high of a level. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. To actually take my guns, he would then go further and petition a judge for a warrant. The prosecuting office would have to be willing to prosecute. That's what due process means, guys. It doesn't mean someone just walks in willy-nilly and says, I want that person's guns gone right now. Well, what's the difference between guns, speech, the right to a fair trial? That's not there. Guilty? Now you can come back and prove your innocence. And who has to pay the court costs? Huh? Is there going to be a slush fund set up where the president's going to pay for that? No. And even if the federal government did pay for our court costs, they're not paying for anything. We're the ones that fund the federal government. So red flag laws, guys, very, 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 very scary. I'm not even going to say slippery slope. It's beyond a slippery slope. Because a slippery slope is like, well, if this happens, then things can keep continuing to go downhill. No, I would say red flag laws are like the very, very bottom of the hill, like right down in the gutter. There's really not a lot worse than that, because it's not just the guns, which are the main part for us. I get it. But it's also a big attempt at fundamentally changing this whole country. Just think about that. There's only a few things that really separate us from the rest of the world. And namely, there's about 10 of them. Now, I know there's things in the actual main body of the Constitution too, but the biggest thing that makes us different from everyone else in the world are these 10 enumerated rights. And when you have one law that's going to literally shred like half of them, it's way bigger than guns, guys. Way, way, way bigger than guns. This is about everything. It's about literally everything that we hold dear, because we base our everyday lives decisions on, well, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, so I'm going to continue to carry on with my activities, whether the government likes it or not. And that's the beauty of the United States. We're allowed to speak out against our government. We're allowed to condemn our government. We're allowed to talk smack about our government all we want, with few exceptions. We can't directly threaten the personal safety or the life of another person. We all know that. There's a couple little limitations there to it. But generally, we can say whatever the hell we want. And we can kind of do whatever we want as long as there's no law that prohibits it. And we do it. We do it on a daily basis. I'm talking about it right now to you guys. Why? Because I have a very, very powerful document that has rights enumerated to me that says the government can't do it. The government has to keep their hands off my rights. I have the right to keep and bear arms. I have the right of freedom of speech. I have the right to be innocent until proven guilty. And that if I'm charged with a crime, be tried, by a jury of my peers. And up until that point, or even if that were to ever happen, I'm innocent. That's why I'm able to sit and talk about this. Did you know there's countries out there right now, today, and there's been many since the beginning of time, but including today, that wouldn't even let me do this right now? Do you honestly think I could be sitting in North Korea right now, talking smack about how crazy out of line Kim Jong-un is because of what he's doing? Do you think I would be allowed to do that? Do you think I would be innocent until proven guilty and have a proper trial by jury of my peers, a speedy trial? Would I not be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment? No, of course not. I'd probably be dragged out in the street and shot, or sent to a, quote, labor camp and worked to death. Well, what makes it where our country can't do that? Well, I would argue, namely the Bill of Rights. The ones that these red flag laws are literally shredding. So, obviously, I'm going to take the pro-gun stance because I'm very pro-gun, and that's the most important of all of them to me, because I believe the Second Amendment and our right to keep and bear is what kind of protects the rest of them. And where if we had to, we could use physical force against a tyrannical government to save our country and to save our Bill of Rights. So the Second Amendment is more important in that regard. But in other regards, it's not any more important. They're all the same. And if any of them fall, what about the fact the Bill of Rights says that you cannot be forced to house and quarter a soldier in your home? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine them coming in, taking your guns, shredding the things you like to read, cutting the cord to my microphone and my camera, and then saying, oh, and by the way, this platoon's going to sleep in your house, and you can sleep out in the doghouse, or you can sleep out in your shed because we're going to stay in your house. Well, how ludicrous does that sound? It sounds ludicrous. Why? Because the Bill of Rights prohibits the government from forcing us to quarter soldiers, right? Well, doesn't it also prohibit them from taking our guns? Doesn't the same document also prohibit them from getting rid of due process? And back to what I said earlier, and I'm going to change subject, guys. We'll talk about guns in 1 second here. But for the last time, I want to say this one more time, guys. We need to start taking this argument a little differently here. We can no longer keep on accepting what they said when they said, you know, take the guns first, due process later. No, that's an ignorant way to talk, and I'm not going to stand for that anymore. There is no due process later. The way we need to rephrase this to people we know on the streets, voters, family, friends, our politicians, from the local levels all the way up to the top. And I'm going to emphasize local levels one more time, because this national red flag bill doesn't actually force red flag laws on its face. It's not an omnipresent national law, but what it is it's an incentivization where the states will now pass their own red flag laws. So keep on your local people, guys. You have to keep on your local people. We need to rephrase it for what was really said. There is no due process later. If it's later, it's not due process anymore. So when you're calling your elected officials, and we do need to start getting on this, guys. I think we lost bump stocks, okay? And it's BS, but we have to keep on moving on. We got to fight the next fight. Red flag laws are the next big thing. We need to tell them we will not stand for red flag laws, which violates the Second Amendment and confiscates our firearms. That's number one. And number two, we will not allow them to end due process, because that's what red flag laws do. They completely shred due process. And we need to start calling it that. And we need to start calling them out. And we need to start naming our enemy, not only by their names, but by their deeds. And we need to say, look, I don't care. You may be great on the economy, and you may get a little tally mark up for that. That's great. But if you're going to literally destroy the Second Amendment and destroy due process, I'm not going to stand for it. And I will vote you out, no matter what. And I think that's really about the most effective tool. But that's what I'll leave you guys with. Just remember, there is no due process later in red flag laws. There is no due process at all. They are destroying due process. They are removing due process. And when they can make it where there's precedent and laws and court cases that decide that it's okay to take guns, trust me, they will be able to take everything else, including you and your person and your body and your effects and your paperwork and your dog and your family, your religious beliefs, everything. Because the whole entire Bill of Rights is all predicated on all of these individual enumerated rights working in harmony. So yes, they are attacking the Second Amendment. They are attacking all of them. Really, I can literally tie every single amendment in the Bill of Rights to red flag laws, and it gets rid of all of them. So please, guys, I think the way we word things once in a while matters. When you guys are talking in other areas to your friends, and again, hopefully you guys are calling your elected officials, don't give them the whole, we don't want due process later. No, due process later, let's get that word out of our vocabulary. They are getting rid of due process. Gone. Red flag laws will remove due process. So just remember that, guys. I'm saying it a bunch of times, not because you guys are stupid, but because I need to remind myself too, okay? It's so easy to get caught in a trap where somebody says something, maybe someone we kind of looked up to in certain regards, maybe even someone we voted for, and they say, well, we'll take the guns first and due process later. For a minute, it's like, well, okay, due process later. I guess I'll just need to be patient and I'll still get it later. Okay. You guys get what I'm saying, right? It's real easy to fall into that trap. No, there is no due process later. It's gone. Getting rid of it. See ya. No more due process. That's what later means. So I think I got that through pretty good. And if you guys disagree with me, let me know. I'm going to check up on the comments here. I haven't really read any of the comments, guys. And trust me, there's no script in front of me at all. The only thing in front of me is this. So don't think I was just reading you guys a speech. This is just me. Once I get into a topic like this, I just kind of keep going and kind of speak from the heart. So I don't want you guys to think this article here that had some notes on the red flag laws. And specifically, real quick here, I didn't even reference this article. Colorado just passed red flag laws, okay? It's become the 15th state. Almost a third of the states now have passed them. So that's why I'm really, really, really And I haven't ignored red flag laws, guys. You can go back a couple weeks ago. I did a whole video talking about the Senate hearing, some things Lindsey Graham had to say, what Feinstein had to say. The fact that if I closed my eyes, I couldn't even tell who the Democrat was between Lindsey Graham and Dianne Feinstein. Just saying. So I talked about this before. I was focusing on bump stocks for a while. I hope there's still something going on behind the scenes with the bump stocks, guys, but I don't have any relevant info. Everyone's being kind of tight-lipped about it. So until then, I'm going to start pounding on these red flag laws because it's bad. It's really, really bad. And I think there's, if you portray this the proper way, I think this should scare a lot of people, period, even if they hate guns. So yeah, Colorado governor just signed it into law. There's going to be some conflicts there because we have a bunch of Second Amendment sanctuary counties who aren't allowed to enforce gun control laws. So it's going to get interesting in Colorado for sure. And I'm hoping Colorado has some tricks up its sleeves with some of these sheriffs that are already speaking out against it, saying they won't enforce it. I'm still hoping that Governor Parsons in Missouri, I'm hoping he signs that Senate Bill 367 and that Missouri can become a complete Second Amendment sanctuary state, right? Where them nor their local law enforcement are going to aid or abet in the enemy, the federal government, when it comes to them trying to, enforce unconstitutional gun laws. So that would be awesome. So there still might be a few things left, a few tricks up our sleeves, guys, but we really need to focus on this red flag because it's like nothing else I've ever seen, to be quite honest with you. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to approve this comment there. Sword of the Spirit. It doesn't appear I have any moderators in here tonight, guys. So if something gets kind of hidden, that's YouTube with their algorithm. A moderator can approve it, but it just doesn't look like there's any moderators here. So again, guys, I was just going on a rant for 40 minutes. I wasn't reading from a script or anything, but I did happen to, in the meantime, kind of ignore a little bit of the comments here. So let me go back and take a look here. I think some new people have probably jumped in to say hi. Let's see here. Boy, you guys are saying a lot of good stuff. And if there's something I miss, I do read these later, guys. You guys say a lot of good stuff, and I've often said this, but I'll say it again. Part of the fun in doing these streams is get to read what you all have to say. And if I don't catch it live, I do read them the next, tonight or tomorrow or something, usually the next day or two. And I get a lot of wisdom from you guys and a lot of good ideas. And a lot of my topics for my videos are from these very comments you guys leave. So I do appreciate you guys' thoughts. I really do. Let's see here. Tim 18 Wheels is still here at a certain point. I think I said hi to Tree Guy and Seth. Yep, that's when I went on my rant. Richard Hughes, what's up, man? Glad to see you here. Let's see who else has popped in. I know I saw some familiar faces here. Strike 9, how's it going, man? Trey Orr, what's happening? Food Forest Permaculture, hello. G2C Lover, how's it going, man? That's pretty cool. I did a couple G2C videos, guys, and had a lot of fun doing them. And I have another quick G2C video coming out in the next couple days, a little tip or trick I developed. But I thought it was kind of cool when a guy named G2C Lover had come in and commented. It's like, you did a good video when a guy that's literally dedicated his name to the model approved of your video. So I appreciate having you here, G2C. Brastard 762, what's up, man? I'm just scrolling through real quick just to say hi to everybody that's popped on in here. Francis Petro, what's happening, man? Arm Dave, how's it going, dude? Let's see what Arm had to say. He said, fighting to prove your innocence is the problem. That's not how it's supposed to work. Welcome to Upside Down. Exactly. And that's another way of wording exactly what I was trying to say, guys. Due process later. Guilty, now prove your innocence. No, this is upside down. This is backwards. So don't for 1 minute think this is normal. They might try to normalize it, but we still need to remember what the truth is, guys. Back to that video I did a couple weeks ago, about 1984. If you guys haven't seen that video, go back and watch it, And it's not really because my video was so great or anything. I just chose a key excerpt of that book to read to you guys. And it's like, how many fingers am I holding up, There's a way with brainwashing and social control where they can get people, and this is proven effective, unfortunately, in many other countries in the past, where they can get you to believe that I'm holding 2 fingers up right now. And they can honestly make you believe that. Or if you didn't believe it, you would at least go along with it so they would stop torturing you, right? 1984, what a powerful book. What foresight that he had to write that. Sword of the Spirit, KJV. He says people have become borderline retarded from reality shows and sitcoms, while Fox News spoons feeds them BS. Trump has done more against the Second Amendment than Obama and Bush ever did. Hey, man, I can't disagree with you, actually. I've literally added it up. And actual lasting things that mattered, I hate to say it, Trump has done more than Obama. It's true, guys. I'll probably watch the numbers of my stream dip in half, but hey, man, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I can't do it. I can't say that Trump's been good on guns. And I will admit I voted for him. So please take what I'm saying with like all due sincerity. There's a lot of things that I believe Trump would do a good job at. I was hoping he'd do a lot better at the Second Amendment. But again, it goes back to this. My other choice was Hillary. You know, that's what it really comes down to. I think a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Orion Fixer's here. What's up, man? Orion says, red flag laws blow the whole Bill of Rights out of the water, thereby destroying the Constitution. Welcome to the United States of China. I know, and I don't know if you wrote that before or after I talked about Kim Jong-un and all that. I mean, there's other states. When I say states, I mean like nation states, countries, where you can't do these podcasts like I am. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not trying to like be threatening or dramatic, but I don't know that I'll do these anymore if red flag laws pass. Maybe I'll remove all my gun videos and just talk about politics. I don't know. But you know, I have a duty as a husband and a father to take care of my family, you know. These are assets that I own, that I've worked hard for, and collectively are basically like, you know, my life savings, if you will, or a part of it anyways. And I don't know if that'd be responsible for me to be like, I'm sorry, honey, but you can't go to college because somebody that doesn't even know daddy saw his video, called the cops, they took all my guns. Even if I got them back, the value of the collection got diminished 90%, because you guys know how this works. If you have an old like pre-ban AK, let's just say a Chinese, where there's only maybe a real rare variant, let's say like a Bakelite side folder, where there's a couple hundred in the whole country, and you have one in 100%, you scratch that thing or get even a little rust on it, that gun just went from like $4,000 down to like 1,500 in 1 second. And there's many, many guns that fall under that. So just the rough handling alone they would do could literally take a guy's collection and his investment and just decimate it, right? So it's like, it just sucks. Because I really, really have fun doing these videos, and I really like hanging out with you all. And a lot of you guys I even consider to be friends now. But man, I have a family and responsibilities to take care of. But I don't want to be silenced either. Do you see the position this puts us in? It's just crazy that you would even think that to express your First Amendment rights, that you'd have to be worried about somebody violating your Second, your Fourth, your Fifth Amendment. Crazy. Armed Ape, the Star BM, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Let me just back up and check a few more comments you guys left. Let's see here. Alaskan Ballistics. Earlier, he said, this is a half hour ago, guys. I'm sorry. I kind of get on these rants, and if I stop, I lose my topic. So those of you that have been here before, you know that's par for the course for me. There's usually a 30 to 40-minute rant somewhere in here. Hopefully you guys like that, or else. If you don't, sorry. I am what I am. Alaskan Ballistics. Many of you may disagree, but it's time we taught Trump a lesson that he can't betray gun rights, and I am not going to vote for him. I will definitely be putting my vote in for someone else. You know what, dude? I hear you. I don't know how we do this, guys, but that's what I was trying to say earlier. I can't vote for an anti-gunner. Well, Trump's proven to be an anti-gunner now, so what am I going to do? But I do feel like being part of the process, right? How can I bitch and moan that my country's not being run right if I didn't even vote? So I feel the need to vote, but I'm not going to be able to vote for Beto either, though, or Bernie Sanders, obviously, the socialists. Well, they're all socialists now, the Democrats. That's the new thing. Anyone who's not a socialist, any, quote, moderate Democrat, they don't even get the time of day. They'll never even make it even into the primaries, let alone out of them. Yep, and like Alaskan kept saying, our Republican president currently is just a Democrat wolf in sheep's clothing. Red flag laws are a complete gut to the Constitution. I hear you, man. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Alaskan Ballistics does have a nice channel. So I encourage you guys to go over there and check him out. I'd like to give him a quick shout out. But yeah, man. Zeke's here. How's it going, Zeke? I almost missed you there. I know Zeke's doing an interview coming up here. he has a show for his channel he's doing. So I knew Zeke had some other itinerary tonight, but glad to see you stop by, man. Tim, 18 wheels. Yeah, the wait for a silencer is over a year now. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, like Tim said, with the red flag laws, that's also another thing. You get a day in court in front of a judge after the fact, not in front of a jury. That's the key. Isn't it like literally written in plain English that you'll be tried by a jury of your peers? Is that written somewhere? Where was that written at, guys? Was that written in the back of the National Enquirer? Oh, I know where I saw that written. That was written in one of those little Cracker Jacks, those little toys you get that sometimes have the joke in them. That's where it must have been written, right? Because they're obviously treating it like a complete joke. Or was it written somewhere else too? I don't know. Remind me, guys, where was that written that you have the right to a trial by jury? It must have been in a comic strip or something, because obviously Republicans and Democrats alike think it's a freaking joke. The red flag law is a red flag in and of itself. Due process matters. Thank you, Armed Ape. That's another very good way to word what I was trying to say. Very good word. And yeah, amen, man. It's very scary. Like, the people that are proposing the red flag law, they're the ones putting up the red flags. Like, they're the ones that we should probably be most suspicious of, right? Those are the ones that maybe need to be locked up real quick before due process if they wanted to go there. Of course, I wouldn't agree to that either, because I believe it applies to everybody, but you guys know what I'm saying. Brastard says people don't care. They just say MAGA 2020. And you know what, guys? I was at the gun shop the other day. I saw a friend of mine there, and he gave me a gift. He was trying to be nice, and I'll show you guys something here. This is tough, guys. I have a dilemma here. And hold on 1 minute. Let me grab something from the other room, because this will help me accentuate my whole point. Okay, guys, I bought this hat about 4 years ago. It was a little bit different than a lot of them, and I thought it was pretty cool, nice and flashy. And I kind of like the old trucker style hats with the mesh, nice and, cool in the summer. I bought this hat when Trump first ran because, again, I voted for him, guys. I'm not going to take that back and lie to you. I did. I own it, whatever, right? But, again, my alternative was Hillary, right? So I wore this hat, and I did wear it before the election. And, I wanted to make America great again. And like I said, the tax cuts were nice. A lot of the rhetoric on immigration is nice. Whether he's actually doing anything about it or not, I don't know. But hey, whatever. Again, it was him versus Hillary. I can't say that enough, right? But yeah, I wore this hat the last election. It's been put away in a closet over here. This hat has not seen the light of day, guys, since the day that he even hinted at the first gun control. For me, when he got rid of the Molat Vepers, and obviously it became apparent he wasn't going to repeal the Kalashnikov concern, the Sega bans, I was done with him that quick. I was literally done with him that quick, guys. That's all it took, because I'm no compromise on the Second Amendment. And there's friends of mine in this chat. I was arguing with a buddy of mine last night for 45 minutes. Am I buffering? Let's see here. Somebody said I was buffering. Hopefully I'm not. Let me know again if I'm buffering, guys, because I don't want it to wipe out what I'm saying. But anyways, I was arguing with somebody that was in here right now last night. We argued for a while. We were fine afterwards, and we still are fine, But I'm literally like a no compromise guy. And you could say that's a fault of mine. Some of you might say that's a fault of mine. Some of you might say that's a virtue of mine. I don't care. But the fact is, one little thing for me, that's all it took, and I was done with him. I literally told some of my personal friends. Now, this sounds like an obscure little thing, right? One factory in Russia's AK imports, that was all it took for me. Done. The minute he signed the Molat ban, I put this hat away and said I'm not going to wear it, okay? Now, a friend of mine gave me this hat the other day at the gun shop, okay? Now, I can understand why he gave it to me. Look, I generally vote Republican, even though I don't completely identify with them and probably mostly don't identify with them. but they're kind of the lesser of two evils. And this is a really nice looking hat, like the production of it. And no doubt he spent a good amount of money for this, you know. Look, guys, it's still sitting here in its exact folded position, you know, and I've not put it on my head. And I think I'm going to give it back to my friend just so he can give it to someone else, because it's a thought that counts. It was given to me as a gift, but I don't think I'm going to be able to wear this hat, guys. Now, here's what's tough, though. Do I want to put on the Trump hat in a way when, let's just say, Beto, if he wins the primaries, and all the gun control and chaos this country would go in if he won? Do I kind of want to wear the MAGA again? I kind of do, because I definitely don't want him. But if I do that, then I'm going to all of a sudden be promoting what Trump did and his bans and his bump stock ban, you know? I can't support that either, guys. So I think basically you'll never see a Beto hat on my head. So don't think I'm going to the other side, guys. But I don't think you're going to be seeing any MAGA from me. And you're probably not going to see, I don't know what I'm going to do about the presidential election. It's going to come up and it's going to be the topic at hand. Gun rights are always part of it. But you know what I think I'm going to do, guys? These elections come and go. And these wolves wearing different clothing come and go. I'm going to try to keep focusing on the people. We the people, what the Constitution actually says. And let's try to keep focusing on spreading the word and holding our politicians accountable to actually executing the Constitution and Bill of Rights by what they say, not at some whim, not because, you know, the sky changed colors today, so now we're going to ban guns and then we'll let them back. No. Here's the thing. When they ban them, we never, ever get them back. And Francis Petro asked me a question. He said, with the Mueller report saying no collusion, do you think it will mean that Trump will remove the ban? I don't know. He might. But Trump's in so much deep crap with me right now. To get my vote back, what Trump's going to have to do is this. He's going to have to repeal not only the Molot Vepper ban, but go back and repeal Obama's Sega ban. He needs to also go back and pull Bill Clinton's ban of all the Chinese Dorinko stuff. Basically, for the amount that we've had to suffer for the past couple of years for Trump's Molot ban, that's his punitive damages. So this is, I'm being dead serious, guys. To get my vote, this is what Trump's going to have to do. Repeal his own ban and then repeal 2 more, because that's Trump's whole thing, right? For every one new government regulation, there has to be 2 repealed. So he has to remove the Molot ban, then remove the Sega ban, and then the Rinko China ban. Okay, now he's even on that. Then he has to go back and direct his new attorney general to completely shred the whole bump stock regulation. Not just say that he's not going to selectively enforce it. That's not good enough, because leaving the directive and the regulation on the books allows the next president just to make one phone call to his or her future attorney general. So he has to completely shred all of the bump stock ban, all of it. He has to get on TV and start saying, I no longer support red flag laws. I support the Constitution. I really am pro-Second Amendment, and I guarantee you I will veto it no matter if Republicans or Democrats put it on my desk. And I will take state funding away from any state that does pass a red flag law. And the 15 states that have just done it, you're going to lose federal funding if you don't repeal your own damn law. So there you go, Francis. I know you weren't asking me for all of that, but that's literally what it takes for Trump to get my vote. Okay? Will that happen? Well, oh, wait. Let me look out the window. Was that a pig flying? No, never mind. I thought there was a pig flying by the window. It wasn't. It was a raindrop. So I guess he's not getting my vote quite yet, but that's where I'm at, guys. Now, would it be great if you know, we could get some Russian AK? Sure, I'll take them back. It's not like I'm going to not buy them if Trump unsigns, you know, his and Obama's executive actions. Of course, I'll thank him for that on its own. Still not going to get my vote. Still way too much dirty laundry. He's airing way too much dirty laundry. Okay? Too much. So, yes, we can hope for that, Francis. Still not enough for me. But again, guys, I'm pretty hard line. Like I said, I was arguing with a friend of mine last night for an hour, and we're still friends after. But that's just how I am. I'm literally like zero compromise. Do one thing, I'm done with you when it comes to my gun rights and my civil rights, period. Because keep in mind, guys, this is more of a gun channel, but I value all of them and cherish all of them equally. I mean, I'm having a good time talking to you guys right now. And at the moment, I'm not holding any guns up. I mean, I guess there's one in the background. But if I cover this up right here with my arm, this is just First Amendment going on. First Amendment's just as important, just as loved by me as the Second, guys. It really is. I just believe the way the Constitution and Bill of Rights were written It's one of the most beautiful pieces of work ever. One of the most courageous experiments in human self-governance ever. And I really just cherish the whole document and believe it's one of the greatest things ever written. And I believe that it should mean exactly today how it was written back then. And that pretty much sums up how I believe about it. You can take all the minute little arguments, but if I had to put them all, just, if I had to put 5 pounds of crap in a 1 pound sack, I would basically say, look, it's a great document. It's a beautiful document. It was written almost perfectly. And if it wasn't for human greed, evil, the love for power, the love for money, and people hadn't done anything they could to subvert it for the past 240 years, our country would be pretty freaking awesome right now. And it still is a great country, but it could be a whole lot better if people literally just truly believed that the Constitution actually meant what it meant, which basically it comes down to is, look, we have a simple and unpowerful federal government. And other than that, the government needs to keep its hands off of our God-given rights. And if they keep their hands off of our rights, we wouldn't even have to be talking about red flag laws, gun control, freedom of speech. You know what I mean? They all fall under that same umbrella. There you go, Brastard. I've had close call myself. Exactly. Cops stopped me and wanted to rough up my gun collection. That's what they want to do, too. They stop you for something stupid. Your blinker's out, whatever, guys. I'm not going to disseminate my exact personal details, but look, it's like they don't just take those guns politely and, wrap them in a cloth and put them down and then rub one of those rod and reel silicone rags on it to get their fingerprints out. Oh, hell no. They open up their trunk, just shove them in there, put zip ties around them with those tags. That's what they do. And then if it's determined just 20 minutes later there's nothing wrong, oh, here you go. Throw them on the ground. You can pick them up off the ground. That's how this stuff works. Now, look, there's many courteous Leos out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of cops that would not do that. So if one of y'all is a cop and you're like, well, I would never do that, I thank you very much for your service, sir, and I'm very glad you would never do that. But in general, most cops grab your guns, throw them in a huge pile, and zip tie them together or whatever the heck they do. They don't treat them like how me and you have, where we always have our oil and our rag and we try to keep fingerprints off of our nice guns, All the years we spent cleaning our guns could all go to crap in 2 minutes just because some idiot wants to oppress you and has a bone to pick with you and wants your guns taken away. Oh, there you go. Tim 18 Wheels. Thanks, man. Here's where it was written at. Okay, remember I was trying to remember? Okay, he said it was written in fine print on the same milk carton that had the missing girl, Liberty. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Yeah, where is Lady Justice? That lady, that blindfolded lady who's holding a set of scales in one hand and a sword in the other? She's blindfolded. Equal justice for all. It doesn't matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're poor. It doesn't matter your color, your creed. It doesn't matter your religion. Does it? It's not supposed to. Doesn't matter who you know, who you voted for, whether you're sitting up in Capitol Hill or whether you're in the lowest, swampiest valley in this whole country. It doesn't matter where you're at because she's blindfolded. She can't see you. And she has a set of scales. And she's supposed to even it out and say, look, is there not only just a compelling interest, but is there proof beyond reasonable doubt? And if those scales start to tip, if there's any doubt and they start to tip, that's what justice is meaning you're innocent until proven guilty. You don't just get proven guilty on an accusation from a stranger. And what's in her other hand besides the scales? A sword. Why is it a sword? Why isn't it a quill pen? Well, here's the thing, guys. The pen's mightier than the sword, someone said. I would argue, though, because you know what? If you have a sword, you can just chop someone's head off that's writing something that you don't like, and you can rewrite it the way you want to, now can't you? And as other people have said, General Chairman Mao and others, all political power comes from the barrel of a gun or sword or arms, etc. So, yeah, the pen may be mightier than the sword in one sense, but the sword's still mightier in another sense because when it really comes down to guarding something, I think the sword's a little more effective than the pen when someone's literally push come to shove trying to physically take your property. So, yeah, Lady Justice, Lady Liberty, where are they at right now? What would she do if she could take that blindfold off right now in the year 2019 and just get a glimpse of what both sides of the aisles are doing? Do you think Lady Justice would come out swinging that sword? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments here. She can't see anything because she's blindfolded. But if she just took a little peek, okay, and she saw President Obama, President Trump, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Warren. What if she saw what these people are scheming to do right now? What would she do with that sword? There's a reason she's holding that sword, guys. Don't forget that. Oh, let's see what we have going on here. Oh, boy, Braster's dropping hashtags, not my government. And that's the thing. It's our country, guys, and we're very proud of our country. So don't for 1 minute think I'm not a patriot. That's not it at all, guys. I'm as patriotic as anybody. But just because I love you, that may just be just what this country ordered, by the way, my friend. The dumber the better right now. Matt Morrison, what's up, dude? Nice to see you here. The justice system serves the elite. You're right, it does. But is it supposed to? Is the justice system supposed to? Because she's blindfolded, right? She's not supposed to be able to tell when it comes time for due process. Back to that again. We can't avoid that word tonight, can we? She's not supposed to be able to tell whether it's Hillary Clinton up on the stand or whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Glock Shooter 79 or whether it's Cave Dave. We're all supposed to be treated equally and fairly and under justice, equal justice for all. And when you use the word justice, don't you think due process has a lot to do with justice? I would certainly think so. It'd be hard for anybody to convince me otherwise. I saw I might be buffering again. Hopefully I'm not, guys. Let's see here. Sort of the spirit saying for us to look for 5G. That's kind of scary too, with all the signals and stuff. The way the rays bounce and concentrations can cause cancer. Wi-Fi signals are already proven to cause cancer. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out too, guys. Any social issues you guys want to talk about, feel free. Here's the deal, guys. I was going to talk for like 15 minutes about politics and rights and then talk about guns for an hour. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, so you guys know how I get. Is this what you guys like about these streams or hate about them when I get talking about politics and go on long rants? Not saying you guys are going to change me either way because I kind of am what I am, and if I don't act like myself, it's hard to pull it off, but I'm just curious. Yeah, like Francis said, Trump has met Putin a few times. However, it hasn't done much. We haven't gotten any AKs back, have we? The prices just keep going up because there's less and less supply. People want to get into these guns, so there's more demand. Let's see here. G2C Lover says, wife has the same hat, but not camo. She wears it everywhere. And that's the thing. That's why I was asking you guys what you're doing, you know? And it's tough. I may be a pretty hard liner when it comes to the Bill of Rights and Second Amendment, but I try to really sit back and not judge because I don't think it's my place to judge you guys at all. And I hope you guys wouldn't just judge me critically on everything I do. Go for it, G2C. I get it, man. I'm not going to condemn your wife for wearing it. I'm just telling you why I'm having a hard time right now putting mine on and why I'm wearing my old Dixie Choppers hat. You can barely see Dixie Choppers anymore. You know who owned this hat? This hat was a gift from a really special person, actually. A guy named JR. He's an author. He wrote a book. I'll have to get the book out one day and show it to you guys. But this was given to me as a gift probably about, let me think now, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And JR was an Army Ranger. And he fought bravely in World War II and was one of the key instrumental people in actually being able to get through all those landmines that were on the beaches of Normandy. Like before we completely stormed the beaches that you see in all the movies, there were some elite units that came in, and these were brave people. And as they say, Rangers lead the way. And he was one of the first ones, if not the first person that actually said that. And these guys literally were able to navigate through, like crawling around with machine gunners up on the cliffs. And the only way he was able to navigate his small group of men through these landmines to get through is because he had grown up working in the West Virginia coal mines, tracking rabbit hunting, with like a small 22 or whatnot. And he was so good at tracking and hunting rabbits because he was like West Virginia coal mine poor, like growing up back in the 20s and 30s type of thing, where it's like you kind of needed to hunt to eat a lot of times because meager wages, cost of living was high, Great Depression, things like that going on. And from him being raised, learning how to track rabbits, he was able to notice the teeny little inconsistencies, right, from a rabbit trail and the trails they took and whatnot. Well, he was able to use those qualifications to navigate some pretty extensive mines on those beaches. So this hat was actually, and unfortunately, JR is not with us anymore. He did finally pass away, lived up into his mid 90s. He was a badass and tough as nails right till the day he died. I think he lived to be about 95 years old. So if you guys see me wear this hat, I wear it a lot. This hat's kind of special to me, and it was given to me by an American hero, a great, great American, multiple Silver Star winner, just a guy that really went over there and helped fight against, Nazism, socialism, fascism. And yeah, an old Army Ranger gave me this hat. So I'm going to keep on wearing this hat. It's kind of good luck because life's hard and I'm still alive by wearing this hat. So you can barely see it anymore, but it says Dixie Choppers. And he knows I'm into the lawn care business. And although I don't own a Dixie Chopper, he gave this to me thinking, well, you're a lawnmower guy. You might like it. But yeah, just figured I'd give you guys a quick story about this hat. Now, there have been times in the past, like I said, I'll take it off for a political election. Not this time, though, guys. I don't think I can do it. All right, let's see here. Oh, thanks, Francis. Thanks, Tree Guy. Ninja Scout says, glad I subbed, all good content. Thanks, man. That means a lot to me. Obviously, I do this channel for fun. I'm not monetized. I don't make a penny. I don't have anyone supporting me. This is just for fun. And I kind of put out videos of kind of like what I want to do and maybe stuff you guys would like. And I don't mean that in a selfish sense. When I say I do what I want to do, it's this simple for me. When I'm doing my videos, I'm having a good time. I'm being genuine. If I was forced into doing videos on things just because somebody sponsored me or sent me something and said, you have to do it, I don't know that I could do as good of a job. So I kind of like just doing what I want to do because at least I am what I am. And if you guys like me for who I am, you like me. If you don't, you don't. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to clarify that earlier. That's not me being selfish when I say I do whatever I want to do. I'm just saying if I'm doing it, it's because I want to and I'm having fun doing it. And there's no ulterior motives. Some of my videos are more popular than others. Some of them aren't. It's always funny because when I put out a video and I'm uploading, I'm like, now this is a good video. This could be one of the best videos I've ever done. That's usually the one that gets the fewest views. And then another one that I do, G2C, which I ended up having a lot of fun with, guys, after I was done and I did my part 2. But originally I was like, you know what? I got this little gun. I'm curious about it. I'm not even sure. I'm going to do a video. And then I did the video and I was like, well, I just spent, 27 minutes filming it. I guess I'll put it up. That's been my most popular video by far. And it's not that I don't think it was a good video necessarily. That's not what I mean. It just wasn't the one I was the most excited about doing. And it's had more views than like half of the rest of them combined. And then I'll do another video where I'm like, now this is the one that I think is awesome. And I'll get good comments on it, and I appreciate it, but I'll get like 100 views on that one. It's just the way YouTube works. It's kind of funny. Let's see here. Ooh, Mateo said, wait, AOC is in charge. Shouldn't we consult her? I'm with Orion Fixer. Orion said, Mateo, just stop that now, with exclamation points. It's sad, though, but she is kind of in charge, isn't she, guys? Francis doesn't mind the political rant. Let's see here. Oh, geez. Tim says, justice made the rounds. Divorce court, Department of Human Services, welfare line, parents, boyfriends, other boyfriends, etc. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Yeah, the IG can be the same way. Don't forget. Last time someone stood up to the IG to try to protect his God-given Second Amendment, he shot his dog and his son. So If that's who you mean by IG, or oh, IG, not AG. I read that. I was thinking AG, guys. I'm sorry. I need to learn how to read. IG, you said. I was thinking the AG. Yeah, the current AG. Bill Barr, he has a few skeletons in his closet too, doesn't he? Tim 18 Wheel says, last I heard, Justice was in intensive care from her drunk Uncle Sam beating her with a big stick. Not even one of these empty bottles, huh? Saturday Night Special videos would probably do very good, Brastard said. You know what? I have some of those, man. Well, I'm doing the SKS series, which was kind of your idea, to be honest. Brastard762 said, you know, you should do a series on the SKS. And it didn't take a lot of convincing because I think Brastard already knew this, and many of you guys do. SKS was my first gun. I've always been a huge SKS guy. I haven't done a lot of videos on them, not because I don't care about them. I just didn't want to bore you guys, but I kind of put my feelers out there, and I guess quite a few of you guys do like the SKS. So, yep, I'm going to do a series on that I'm going to call it the Year of the SKS, and I'm going to go on for basically a full year. I'm going to try to go 52 full weeks, showing variants, different accessories, tips, and tricks. I think I can pretty much keep a full year packed with it. You know, one video a week, and not really have to do anything redundant. If I get really busy on a week and I'm going so crazy working, I might have to skip a week. I'm sure you guys will understand that, but yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to come back and show you guys a couple guns. If any of y'all are still here that were asking me about guns, I'm just going to take a 5-minute break and come back on for maybe another 30 minutes or so. And I got a new Star BM9 that has a few unique things about it I was going to show you guys. I've also put on a few more of those upgrades from that Glock 22 from last week, so I'm going to also show you guys some of that. And yeah, so a few more gun things coming up here. I meant to kind of do those at the beginning, but I can't really control when I go on one of these rants. I mean, I can control myself. That's not it. It's just when the thoughts start flowing, I just spit it out and I just keep going until I've basically finally got my point across. So I kind of did a little backwards. So those of you that came right in here looking to see the guns, sorry to make you wait, but I will definitely be showing those in about 5 minutes here. So I will be right back. All right, let's see if there's anybody left in here. Hey, Switch Pod. I'm just taking a quick break, guys. I needed to step it up with a little more caffeine. This tea tastes really good. And it helps clear my throat, you know, when I'm talking a lot, but I just needed to step up a little more caffeine because I've been working a lot. One more quick thing before I show guns, guys, and I'm not going to stay on this topic very long. If you want to leave, go ahead. I don't care. I do, but I don't care. Just remember, guys, with all these red flag laws and all this doom and gloom going on in our country, we can't trust anyone anymore, right? You know, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, they seem to all be betraying us. You know what I've learned in life? A lot of people will betray you in your life. And if you find a few good people that won't betray you, you're very, very lucky. And, you know, just make sure you tell all those people how much you care about them every day. And make sure that you're always someone they can rely on, too, because it's very rare that we can really trust anybody. And I don't certainly think there's even really any reasonable expectation we can ever trust people in government that we've elected to these high positions. But I'll tell you who we can actually trust and who I trust in. And 2019 years ago, God sent his only son down to this earth today on Good Friday, and he sacrificed his son and let him die on the cross so that we can all be forgiven of our sins and so that we can have eternal happiness and eternal perfection in heaven. So as bad as this earth gets and as bad as our government is, look, guys, it says in the Bible that God let the devil rule the earth. It's written, you know, the devil has free reign on the earth, and he has free reign on the physical, tangible items. And God's going to let the devil have his hand in the earth with our physical things, you know. And these guns are very, very important earthly possessions, and our freedoms are very earthly possessions. But just remember, today, 2019 years ago, God sent a portion of himself, his only begotten son. He sent him here, and he let him hang on a cross and die. Yeah, he could have saved him physically if he would have wanted to, but that wasn't the point. He sacrificed him so that we can ask for forgiveness, and we can pray to God, and we can pray in Jesus' name, and we can be forgiven of our sins. And we may not have many people on this whole earth that are fighting for us and truly trying to help us, but we do have a Father up in heaven, and he listens to us daily, and he's listening to all of us right now. And no matter how tough this gets here, with all these politicians lying to us, different letters behind their names, that really doesn't matter, because God's got your back, and he always has, and he always will. Even when you don't have his back, even when you don't have yourselves back, when you're betraying yourself, when you're betraying God himself, he's still there. He's still watching you. So just keep that in mind, guys. This is Good Friday, and it should be a reminder to all of us that no, God's not dead. The Constitution may completely die. And God even told us he's going to let the devil have free reign of this earth. And eventually the earth itself is going to end. All of our lives are going to pass very, very fast. You know, it's been written that life is nothing but a vapor that appeareth and then vanisheth away. And I'm not trying to talk doom and gloom, but when you think about that, what that really means is, yes, I think we still need to fight the good fight on earth here, and we still need to stand up for what's right, and we still need to stand up for our physical, you know, people around us. But at the same time, does it really matter what Trump has to say? I mean, how important is the United States Congress really? Because they might be able to rule the earth. They might be able to rule our physical bodies. But God's still there, and he's just as alive today as he was eternity ago. And he's the omnipresent. He's everywhere and always will be. And he sent his son down to die for us. And I just want you guys to remember that. There's a lot of hope. And as much as I might talk about stark circumstances that we have here in our daily lives, this trial that we know is life, this test that we have here on earth, really, there's a lot of hope, guys. So just remember that, you know, when you've got your neighbors calling on you, when your neighbors are flagging you, and it just seems like there's all this despair, just look up, close your eyes, bow your head, do whatever you do. But yeah, God's got your back, and he's not going to betray you. Just remember that. You can betray him even sometimes, because we all mess up. But just get right with him and let him know that you messed up big time. And he's a good judge. You know, God is the ultimate due process, because he will forgive you for essentially anything you've done. But if you sincerely believe in your heart and you repent, and you believe it was bad and that you did not want to do what you did truly, that you made a mistake. Your earthly desires got in the way. You were tempted by evil. The devil that God let reign the earth to tempt us got the best of you. You can still go back to God and crawl on your hands and knees and say, please give me another chance. I don't want to live this life of sin. I don't want to have to deal with this anymore. I want to surrender my life to you, and I want to put my trust in you, and he'll be there for you. And that's what I believe. So again, I'm not trying to offend people here. As Americans, I truly believe you have the right to believe or not to believe. I would never, ever try to pass a law that said you had to believe. But I do, and today's a really, really special day. So don't, we need to get caught up in some of these things, I think, on an earthly basis. We really do. I don't think God wants us to be weak. In fact, when Jesus, God are kind of synonymous for me. I believe, in the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost being all in one. But basically, when Jesus said, I believe it was Paul, he told his disciples, he said, look, I want you guys to keep fighting, to keep God alive. And he said, well, take up your sword. And he said, well, what if I don't have a sword? And he said, sell your cloak and buy a sword. Now, I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably misquoting, but I think you guys know the scripture I'm talking about. I believe it's in Luke. And it says, someone said I'm buffering. I hope I'm not buffering. Okay. So just remember that. I don't think that God requires us just to sit and be weak and not to fight back. I think we're supposed to fight back. But I hate to say this, I think this life on earth to a point is somewhat of a losing battle. We're supposed to try to win as much as we can, and we're supposed to try to keep this country great. And I believe that God has blessed the United States of America, and I believe God blessed the founding fathers. And much of what they wrote in this country's founding documents were based on God and did acknowledge God as our creator, and that these rights are endowed to us by our creator. I do believe in all that, but at the same time, Trump's going to do what he does. Pelosi's going to do what she does. But here's what we can do, guys. We can just keep on fighting the good fight. Let's not just crawl up in a hole and say, well, I'm just going to only leave this in God's hands. No, we're supposed to be God's soldiers. We're supposed to help perpetuate the word of God, freedom, liberty. All these things that the founding fathers put in the founding documents are very Christian type values and beliefs. Being fair to one another, not stealing from each other. Love thy neighbor. Do not covet thy neighbor's wife. Now, our legislatures have removed a lot of these things. I know cheating ain't a crime anymore per se. And I also realize God says, give unto Caesar what is to Caesar's. God wants us to follow the law. And I believe that we should take part in the political process to try to make sure that there's good, just laws, where our laws are governing in the spirit of godliness and of wholesomeness and of decency. I believe that's definitely our mission on life. So don't for 1 minute think I'm saying just curl up in a ball, guys. No, we have to keep fighting the good fight while we're on earth. But just remember this, God has our back. I haven't seen any politician put their son up on a cross to die to try to save our souls. Have you? So we have somebody a lot more powerful than anybody in Washington that has our back. And today's Good Friday, and I thank Jesus, I thank God for sacrificing his son so that I can be saved from all this hell on earth eventually here. Because that's a really, really powerful thing. And I just wanted to, publicly thank God one more time. I thank you, Father, for sending your son down to earth that he could die on the cross and be the sacrifice for us, so that we could be forgiven of our sins, and so you can save our souls. And no matter how many times we mess up, and no matter how hard this life is, that we can come back to you, and that you'll once again save us, the least of us, the most terrible of us, that we can somehow become pure again through your forgiveness and your grace. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen. I really, really thank God for that. And I just want you guys to know that, luckily we still have Jesus and we still have God. And I'm not sad, guys. It's just an emotional thing for me, because I really believe a lot of this BS that we're dealing with on earth, that God really does have our back. So hopefully you guys can find some strength in that, and that you guys can keep on keeping on, fight the good fight. I really don't think that Christians should be synonymous with being weak. And I think Jesus definitely, instructed his apostles to keep up the good fight. And I think that's been written. So All right, guys. I promised I'd talk about guns. Sorry for that tangent. I totally respect the fact that some of you may be atheists, agnostics. Didn't mean to offend anybody, but it's just today is what it is. You know, it's Good Friday, and it means a lot to me. And if it doesn't to you, that's fine with me too, because I'm not your judge. I'm not capable of judging you, and I'm not even going to try. So that's where I'm at. All right, let's see what you guys are saying here. It looks like a lot of you guys are other fellow believers too. That's good to hear. So today's a special day, isn't it, guys? Good Friday. 2019 years ago. It's like it happened yesterday, and I think 10,000 years from now it'll still be the same way. I don't think that ever changes. But the president will change. These laws will all change. Unfortunately, it seems like the laws are going to keep changing for the worse, though, doesn't it? But oh well, God's not getting any worse. That's the main thing. Main encouragement I wanted to offer you guys tonight. God's just as good as he's ever been, guys. I know for a fact he is. I trust my soul to it, actually. That's what I believe in. So, anyways, I did a video, guys, a week or so back about some good budget pistols to get into. And the word budget and milsurp is kind of like oxymorons nowadays, right? Most of these milsurps that used to be cheap, like these SKSs, they're still reasonable, and I'm going to be doing a whole year on those. You can still pick up a Chinese SKS in the secondary market for 300-ish bucks, but it's getting hard to find anything. Well, these Star BMs, they're still here, guys. I think they're starting to wane pretty fast, by the way, but they're still here right now. 179 bucks. And I kind of talked about them in my other video. Now this is I have a few of them here. I'll just real quick grab the other one, because I wanted to show you guys a couple little things I noticed with these Star BMs. Hopefully I'm not buffering. I know occasionally you guys will say buffering, and please let me know if it buffers. Hopefully it's just on your end and it's nothing's killed the whole stream. Like, I don't want it to buffer on anyone's end, but you guys get what I'm saying. Because if it buffers on my end, when I go back for the replay, it's gone. But at least if it's on your end, you can come back afterwards and catch back up. So anyways, with these little stars, so there's a couple people that have them for sale right now, and I'm just going to have to, I want to keep, abiding by YouTube's rules as much as I can, because I don't want my channel to get taken down for no good reason. I don't think I'm allowed to actually say websites, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to mention any website that sells guns, but I'll say the names of the companies, and I think you guys, if you can find me on YouTube, you probably know how to Google, right? So there's two people that are selling the stars that I'm aware of on the primary market. There's J&G Sales, so just JG Sales. That's the one company. And then another company called Classic Firearms. So this first one I'm going to show you I got from JG Sales. I think I've showed you this one before, but this one's in like excellent condition, really. The bluing's great on it. Not really any holster wear at all. This is a very, very fine example of one of these Star BMs. I mean, really, if you look at it, it'd be hard to really expect much better from a milsurp. Now, these are available still from JG Sales. This is what they call the excellent grade. Now, these are around $279, which, hey, if you're a collector and you just want to collect this to appreciate and value, or if you just enjoy a really, really nice specimen of a gun that's clearly like either never been shot or barely been shot. I mean, this gun shows signs of just a few rounds through it, but obviously taken care of very well. This may be the best choice for you guys. I'll tell you what, later on when these disappear off the primary market, which I'm going to warn you guys right now, I think is a lot sooner than it is later. I think these are really, really starting to dry up now. Don't quote me on this, but I'm just letting you know. If you want one of these, I wouldn't think about it too much longer, or else you're going to find yourself on the secondary market where the prices just keep going up. You guys know the drill, right? So if you want something to kind of appreciate and value as a collector, there's an old saying where 99% of the cost is 99% based on the condition. So if you ever thought you wanted one of these that's kind of more collectible, $279, mint condition, excellent. J&G Sales has gone through and sorted them all out and put them in different categories. So that's on the higher end. They have about 3 or 4 other conditions too, going all the way down to, I believe, like 179. Now, Classic Firearms, 179. With Classic, there's been a couple hand selects in the past, but this is where I think it's drying up because we're quickly losing our hand select options. So this one here I had bought from, also from J&G Sales, $179 price. Now you're going to immediately notice holster wear, a little more wear here on the high edges. By no means a beater gun at all, but definitely has some holster wear to it. When I look at the internals and stuff, I can see a little more wear inside. Not really a lot, though. By no means is this gun worn out. It's just been, you know, used a little more. I'm glad to have you here, Michael. Looks like you're taking off already, but good to see you, man. And God bless you too, Michael. I appreciate you being here, man. Anyway, so this one's, you know, got a little more use on it. No kind of rust or anything like that. Maybe a teeny bit of pitting on, you know, the chrome area of the, you know, the chamber portion of the barrel. Nothing really bad, though. $179. Now, is this going to be a pristine example? No. But it's certainly going to be a great shooter. And I think still has the potential to increase in price. I mean, these are great little guns, guys. Very sturdy. Very, very smooth actions on these suckers. Oh, my gosh. That's the one thing about these Star pistols I keep noticing. Every one of them just smooth, well-constructed, high degree of fit and finish, you know? So, yeah, $179. Now, this one came in an original Star cardboard box. So, you got the gun. It came in its original Spanish-made box. These are Spanish guns, obviously, guys. It came with an original owner's manual, which I would note is also written completely in Spanish. You'll be hard-pressed to find an English word on here. The only words that kind of look English are the ones that aren't English at all. They're foreign words that we've accepted. Like, for example, we'll see 9mm Parabellum Luger. Well, that's because those are proper nouns, right? But they're not actually English words either, right? So, anyways, for all intents and purposes, this is all in Spanish, every bit of it. But still cool. It's still an original artifact, an original vintage owner's manual. And then most of them used to always come with just a regular steel cleaning rod with a little loop for you to run a patch through, right? Well, I picked up another one just the other day. I got it yesterday from local gun shop from Classic Firearms. So also $179. And this is kind of cool, guys, because basically the Star pistols were made from about 1972 to 1992. And you can generally find the dates like right here on the trigger guard. So this would be an example of a 1979. See the 79 there? So this is a 1979. My other one here is a 1977. There we go. See the 77 on the trigger guard? So that's a 77, my mint condition one. Tree Guy, these are 9mm, like Seth said. And when we say 9, we mean regular old 9. You could call it 9x19, 9 NATO, 9 Parabellum, 9 Luger, or just 9mm. So not the 9mm Makarov that was featured in other Russian guns. So this is not a Russian gun. This is a Spanish gun. But yeah, regular old-fashioned cheap 9mm. Here's one right here. There's a 115 grain Federal brass ball round. Here's a Tula ammo, 115 grain ball round. So this is what this shoots. And it's actually interesting you said that, because here's my 1979. And I noticed this new one that came in is actually a 1992. Now look, guys, I'm a pretty big geek with milsurps. So this is pretty cool. So I now have some earlier examples, and I believe one of them at home, because there's a few more at home, believe it or not. I truly believe in stacking these little cheap milsurps deep when they come in the country, guys. I've yet to get burned on it. It's just kind of a pretty solid investment, always has been. But anyways, so I can show you guys there were actually some changes in these that I can just observe right now with the naked eye between 70s production all the way up to the last year. And again, this is a little geeky, but maybe you guys will find this interesting. So I basically briefly read that like these basically went unchanged for 20 years with maybe the exception of some slide serrations. But I found a few more things. So we're going to look at the 79 here. You're going to notice very slender, thin, kind of sharp slide serrations. Plenty effective. They actually do the job great. It's like they kind of grip your finger where it almost feels like it wants to hurt, but not quite. Like, it's definitely not going to cut you, but it's sharp enough where you get a very good purchase. So these are fine. Generally, you know, there's obviously different ways to rock a pistol, but generally I like to come over the top of it and purchase here with my thumb, couple forefingers, and just my whole hand in general, kind of using the rear sight, and it works perfectly fine for that. You could also come from the rear, and it's going to work great. So side serrations are good, no problem, guys, either way. But these are small, little, narrow, sharper grooves. Now, I noticed on the 92, you'll notice they're much broader, meaning the gaps are about twice as wide in between the slide serrations, right? Can you guys see that? There we go. Not nearly as sharp. So that is definitely a change. They changed the slide serrations. And I would note that even though these are a little wider, and at first glance, they almost look a little more tactical, actually, I think the original ones are better. Like, to me, it's hands down, not even close. Like I said, it doesn't quite hurt, but it almost does. You guys know what I mean, right? Where you pinch down on it, they're sharp, and they grab. They're very effective. This one, not so much. You don't get that sharp bite. It's kind of like, I definitely really rather clamp my whole hand on the top of this one, guys, because I just couldn't quite trust getting like the 2 fingers on there like I did. So they definitely changed the slide serrations. I would say for the worse slightly. Again, when I say worse, this is still a great little gun, guys. Another thing I noticed, and this is just things I've noticed. I've not seen this information published, so you guys might be hearing it from the first time here. And if I miss something, sorry. I'm no expert. I'm just noticing things. You'll notice this part of the frame where you go to approach the trigger with your trigger finger, it's inletted a little bit here. And it's inletted about maybe 2/3 of the way down. See that scallop that's cut out of there? I think that's to aid your finger, right? So there's not a sharp edge on your finger. This is on the 79. Now, by the time we get to the 1992, we will notice instead of the scallop being only 2/3 of the way down, it goes all the way down basically to the bottom portion. So this scalloped out area to get your finger into the trigger guard is definitely at least 30% more. So we'll go back here real quick to the 79. And I had it. Let's see if this will help, guys. Let me see if this helps at all. I'm trying to. The sheet of paper helps if it's a small item, but it's not really helping here. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said before, this channel is solely self-funded. I don't have the multi-$1,000 camera like people that have a bunch of Patreon members and ad support. So please don't get mad at me for my camera quality. It's just not that expensive of a camera. So the little scalloped out area for your finger, 2/3 of the way. And then basically here, it goes all the way down to the bottom. So that's a significant difference. Do I really notice it in real life? I don't know. Really? I mean, where my finger would go to pull the trigger, it's comfortable either way. So, but that's a difference. Another difference is this. If you look at the rear sights, just a standard notched rear sight, and then a front post, but if you'll notice, it ramps downwards. So it starts off taller at the breech end, and it slants down towards the muzzle. And it's completely smooth on top. No types of serrations, just smooth blued steel. Again, this one having some holster wear. You can see where it wore some of the bluing off. But that's what I want you guys to focus on. Starts high at the breech, ramps down towards the muzzle. Now this 92 is the complete opposite. It starts off lower at the breech, and it actually ramps up towards the muzzle. Hopefully you guys can get that in focus here. Focus, focus. It doesn't listen to me very well. But yeah, these sights ramp up, so that's definitely a difference. And also, there's small serrations built in to the small, yeah, there we go. The ramp has small serrations in there with a little bit of white paint remaining on it. So they definitely took the whole sights and like reversed the ramp and then put the serrations in there. Normally, whenever they put some kind of checkering or serrations on a slide or a sight, it's supposed to be, it's perceived anyways, to get rid of glare. I don't know really how much it helps in real life, but I think that's the general thought when they do this. It's supposed to help with any glare. And then in the rear, right between the middle of the rear open sight there, you'll see a little dot of white paint that looks like it's been there for a while. Now, I don't know if the actual Star Factory put the white on there or if the particular soldier or police officer that carried this did that, but certainly we've got a difference in the slide cuts, serration cuts, right? We have a much more pronounced scallop there for your finger entry into the trigger guard. We have the opposite of the ramp sights with the serration. And then one more big difference that I think is kind of interesting, because well, this is why I like milsurps, guys. All the little idiosyncrasies and the little differences. This is what makes them fun. Now, I like modern guns too, but it's not going to be fun for me to buy 10 of these G2Cs, right, and compare the differences. Now, I do like this gun so much, I think I might actually buy a brown one so I can have a brown and a black one, but hey, whatever. But it's just not going to be fun to buy like 5 or 6 of these because really they're the same thing. But with these milsurps, hey, it's interesting, right? So let's look at the slide markings here, the actual maker's marks. This is going to be fun. Okay, here we go. We see star. We see a little star here with like a star burst. So you see that star up there where there's actually like the burst, I would call it, the diagonal lines. And then it says star, SA, Cal, 9mm, meaning 9mm parabellum. And I can't read Spanish, but it also says like B, Icavaria, Ibar, España. Okay? So it's all written out, like the full nomenclature of the company. It's got a little star up here with a star burst. Now, I don't know why they did this, and it totally sucks, but on most of these, you're going to see these 2 little scallop mill marks here. And what this is this is the same star logo. That star, that little, the company star's logo is a star, right? So they used to put the star probably right here on the slide and on the frame. Something happened in the import or export level where they decided that they had to grind these off for import. So yeah, we just get to look at these stupid little round milling marks. But all these were star logos that were ground off. Now, when I first got the 92, this is the first thing I noticed. The 1992 production, Star BM9, is I was like, whoa, look, there's no milling marks here. You guys can see this from a mile away. There's nothing ground off there. This is pretty cool. Well, what I figured out is by the time 92 had happened, they had taken the serial number and started to put it up here. And then there was no more room for the star there, and then they left the star off of the slide. So there is no star. The serial number's here. Now, on the older 70s production, they would put a partial serial number, like the last 5 digits, which for you milsurp guys, you know this is kind of normal. A lot of times the small parts are all numbered with just like the last couple digits rather than the full entire serial number. But the full serial number on these guns in the 70s is actually all the way up here in between the mag release. See right there? Just above the mag release. That's where the full serial number is. So between the mag release and the slide release. Well, and then they would put partial serial numbers here. Well, by the time 92 came along, they put the full, let's see how many digits this is. 7-digit. This is serial number 1.98 million. They moved it up here. So there is no. Now, there must have been a little logo here because now we have a little scalloped out area where they milled away a small section there in the frame. So I'm guessing there must have been a really small logo there where on the ones from the 70s, the logos were here and here. So you get a slightly less defaced gun by getting one from the 90s. I would also note on this side of the slide of the 1979, that's the stupid ass Century billboard mark, right? Where they put all that crap on there and then they even take it upon themselves to re-serialize it. Now, for legal reasons, this is the modern legal ATF serial number, not the original one. I think you guys know how that works, but yeah. So yeah, there's the billboard. All the other markings are right here, like I showed you guys earlier. Now, the 1992. The billboard's still there, but it's a little bit cut up. So you'll see the billboard starts. Well, now this has a new marking that's not on the 77. And it says Cal 9M/M millimeter NATO. So they went from calling it 9mm parabellum back in the 70s and now calling it 9mm NATO in 1992. Now we know this is the same exact round physically. I mean, slightly different. NATO does connotate a spec, right? Like for it to be NATO, it would generally be like, 124 grain ball round with a certain amount of pressure. So, but for all intents and purposes, they're kind of synonymous rounds. But I thought that was interesting. They've now gone to the 9mm NATO nomenclature. Century still couldn't keep their mitts off of this gun. They still had to, put their billboard on there and put the new serial number on. Now the other side of the gun. So remember back on the 79, there was definitely quite the display there. Now these markings are pretty light, guys, but that's pretty good. We see the star with the star burst, and then star and all that Spanish writing on it and all of that, right? Now, by the time we go to this one, it's much more simplified. So I'm trying to get my face out of the view of the camera. It seems to help a little bit. There we go. Now we just have a big star on here, and there's no star burst anymore. It's just a naked star, and it says star Ibar Hispana. So there you go. So that's what I've noticed the difference is, guys. The scallops in the trigger area, the slide serrations are different. The front sight posts are complete opposites of each other. The markings are completely different, meaning where they put the logos and where they had to be apparently removed for some kind of legal reasons. Again, I don't know why. I think it's a bunch of crap. But little milled out spot there. Man, if we could just get rid of that stupid Century billboard, because they do not actually have to do this, guys. That's what's crazy about it. You know what other importers have done, and even Century's done, is they put the import mark just like right under here discreetly, even on the bottom of the trigger guard, sometimes here, which if they laser engrave it here, that's fine with me. I don't like the Century engravings here, though, because Century likes to engrave with like a real heavy like electro pencil. It's like that dot matrix. Remember when you go to like, I think the only ones that still use them is like auto shops. You go there and the paper comes on the spool and it goes deet, 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 and it's called dot matrix, right? Well, those are the only printers they had in the 80s, like when I was in kindergarten, you know, back in 85 or whatever. Well, come on, guys. It's the 21st century. It'd be very easy for them to laser engrave real small, discrete markings. But nope, Century Arms to this date still does this stupid dot matrix where it raises up the metal and makes it real rough. So yeah, it's shame on Century, guys. I'll just say it right now. It's crappy. All the guns they're defacing and kind of almost ruining by putting these stupid marks where they shouldn't be. Here's another Century gun. This is a Mauser Model 90DA, which is basically a Hungarian P9R that was, you know, remarketed in Germany under the Mauser name. But the point is, instead of doing the billboard on this gun, thankfully Century did actually put it right here, right underneath the frame of the gun. So it's still there. It's still the big billboard. It's still that rough, nasty, where it almost feels like it wants to give you a metal splinter. It's still obnoxious, but at least it's here, where if you're displaying the gun from its sides, you can't actually see it. So that's pretty cool, right? But then I would note something else with Century. This is how goofy this company is. So this gun was brought back into the country in the early 90s. This is one of those Hungarian P9Rs, the one that I said that Mauser 90DA was a clone of. Now look at how nice this is. These are the original, you know, FEG Hungarian markings, which are roll marked in there, you know, which is what we're used to on a milsurp. Now, if you come over here, all Century did is with a roll mark. This is not dot matrix. It is not sharp. It's done in like the same style as the original FEG markings. And all they did is just put a real abbreviated CAI, ST, ALB, and VT for Vermont, which is all, that's all the ATF requires. They have to put the name of their company or its abbreviation, so CAI, Century Arms International, St. Albany, Vermont. So that's all they legally had to do. Now, why in the early 90s were they able to put, now I wish this didn't have to be here, but again, ATF rules apply for importers. Why were they able to put this discrete roll mark in here that's not obtrusive? It just completely matches the font of the gun almost exactly. Why could they do this in the early 90s? And now here we are with much advancements in laser engravers and modern technology. Why in 2019 do they have to go back to this big, gaudy, huge billboard where it just doesn't make any sense, does it? And a lot of this is redundant information. The gun has to have the model number. It has to have a serial number. It has to have where it's made. Well, guess what? Just like this Hungarian gun had all that from the factory, so all they had to put on there was CAI. It's the same thing. All they would have had to put on here is CAI, Georgia, Vermont. Because if you've noticed, CAI Century has changed their location, but they don't need made in Spain on here. The gun already has Hispana on here, which is basically Spanish for saying Spain. So we already have the country of origin. Century put on here, you know, Star, BM, Ichaveria, I can't pronounce it. Why do we need all that on there when the gun clearly has all of that already factory roll marked? And for you milsurp guys, does this drive you crazy when Century goes hog wild Like everything's on here that they need. The only thing Century had to add was CAI, Georgia, Vermont. Everything else that the ATF wants, including serial numbers, full serial numbers right here. Remember, by that magazine release and the slides, release. They just didn't have to do this. And this is the same company. That's why I think this is a perfect example that went from very discreet roll mark, no dot matrix, because that was all that's needed. The rest was on the gun. And then they de-evolved themselves down to this crap. Real rough, crude, nasty billboard. But at least it was hidden. And then now, for an even more recent import, boom, covering up the whole, like, the most prominent part of the slide, right, that your eye's drawn to. And again, this is that real gritty. So, whatever, guys. I'm not trying to talk you out of getting these guns. They are what they are. You're not going to find one without import marks. So, none of this that I'm telling you is taking away from whether you should get one of these or not. It's just sad and stupid that we even have to have these rules and that the Century even would be so basically flagrant about it. Now, this one here, let me see where they put their, yeah, so here's a Star Model 28 DA. Now, this has all the correct markings already on it. Now, what's cool about these guns is for whatever reason, and this is still Century, they didn't feel the need to get rid of the star on this gun. So it's still allowed to be shown. There's no scalloped out or milled out logos. Go figure. But the model number's on there. Everything's on there. So what they did here is very discreetly, up in the above the trigger guard, they just put CAI, Georgia, Vermont. And that's pretty discreet. I can kind of live with that, right? And then on this particular gun, even though the gun came with a serial number, Century decided they needed to re-serial this one, but they at least did it on the bottom of the frame. Now, here's where it gets even more freaking ridiculous. Let me see here. Where's my other... where did I put that one at? I know I have another one of these. Hold on one second. I think maybe I took my other Star Model 28, but just take my word for it, guys. I have another one of these exact guns, the Star Model 28 DAs, and that one's the same thing as this one. It has the Century here, but it doesn't have the reserialization. And these were both brought in on the same shipment, so they go back and forth. I think I have too many Star pistols when I've got, like, I can't find them all right now, but I do think I remember taking one of these 28 DAs home the other day. But yeah, stupid import marks. But hey, what I'm starting to notice though with these stars, guys, by the way, is if you go to Classic, I'm going to go there real quick, and I can't put a link. And make sure if you're a moderator, do not put a link in here to this. It's really stupid, but YouTube can remove this video if we link in the chat or in the comments to any websites that sell guns. So I'm going to go to Classic's website, and I can't even like tell you guys the name of the website either. I know some channels do it, but they're bigger than me, and they have like those organizations that'll back them. I have no one to help me, so I like to. There's no reason. You guys can find these websites on your own. But I'm on Classic's website right now looking at this, and we see here that there's a hand select for cosmetic condition and an original manual. That's $20. So you're starting off at $180. And by the way, it says this price ends today, guys. I didn't even realize this. So from Classic anyways, this $179 ends today. Now J&G, I didn't see anything about their price expiring, so that'll probably be good till they sell out. But Classic, you can get a hand select. Now I noticed this last one here, I hand selected it. It has a decent amount of wear, so that's telling me they're getting down to the bottom, guys. There's not a lot left. If you wanted a really good one for $179, you probably should have bought it already. But just letting you guys know, if you want to get on one of these, why you can get one at all for $179. This alone, having the slide wear that it does, and this was a hand select, is telling me two things. A, Classic isn't really always the best about their hand selects. That's true, trust me. And then the other thing with them is there's just not that many left. If they've been hand selecting, even the best one. So maybe the rest of them have rust on them. I don't know. I'm just saying. This was considered a hand select. And then you used to be able to specify an original factory plastic case. That's out of stock now. but you can still specify the original factory cardboard box. So since I'm seeing the options diminishing, and I'm noticing, I've just been buying milsurps a long time, guys. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of things that are telling me that these are getting down near the end. Will they get another shipment in? I don't know. You don't know until it's too late. That's the thing. How did we know when the last $99 batch of Mosins was going to come in? None of us knew that. We just learned after we never saw another batch. Oh, in hindsight, that was my last chance. I think you guys get what I'm saying. And I will note this too. This is pretty cool. So on my 92 that I just purchased, I did actually pay, and this is going to sound stupid, guys, but the other ones I got, I didn't have to pay $10 for a cardboard box. I don't know why Classic's now charging you $10 for a cardboard box. You used to get it for free. Now they're charging you extra for the box. My J&G one, just so you know, also came in one of these boxes for no upcharge. I'm just saying. But I did give in the other day, and I did spend the $10 extra from Classic, and I did buy one of the original boxes just because I'm kind of like that. I kind of like all the neat accessories. So this is an original. The camera's going to have a hard time because it's a clear box. But this is an original Star box. It's got that, you know, Starburst logo there. And it says Star and all that on it. So this is a genuine, you know, box from when this was made in 1992. And it's kind of a frosted, you know, clear plastic. And I will note where the one in the cardboard box came with just a little cleaning rod with the slot and the manual. This one also came with a manual that for all intents and purposes to me looks identical to the one from my 77. I suspect all the manuals got shipped together in a box and Classic just distributed them with them if you paid the hand select fee. I have a feeling. So it's not necessarily that this manual originally went to a 92 or a 77. I think you just get a manual. But hey, just by looking at it here, yeah, the picture on it does show the old slide serrations. I will note that. And the less scallop trigger guard. So whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm getting really nitpicky now. But what was kind of cool is there was a little toolkit that came in here, guys. Kind of a freebie. I didn't really know this was going to come in here, but I thought it was pretty cool. So this, instead of just the regular old, you know, Classic pistol cleaning rod with the loop like we've seen on many milsurps, right? Tokarevs, Makarovs, all of them. This is kind of like a screwdriver handle. Remember these screwdrivers from back in the day, guys? Borrowing one from your dad's garage. They always had that colored clear look. And it swivels, obviously, and it's actually got a threaded tip. And it came with a polymer or nylon, you know, bore brush, a bronze bore brush, and then a bore swab. So, yeah, these just screw right on here, just like a modern cleaning kit. So I thought that was a cool little bonus I got. I'm guessing what happened is by 92, they had gone away from the old Block style, you know, cleaning rod. I'll bring that out one more time. This is what my other examples have all come with, the ones in the, you know, the old cardboard box. So this is what I've kind of noticed by the ones I purchased. The older ones from the 70s came in a cardboard box with the old Classic. You guys have seen these, right, if you're in the milsurps. This is your old Block kind of, not the Spain was part of the Block. I'm just saying, this is your old milsurp pistol cleaning rod, which these are fine. You know, you can put your finger through there and swab the bore. But the 1992, by then, they had gone into a polymer box. Maybe it'll pick it up a little bit better this way if I put something behind it. I don't know. It's kind of a cool little box, though. It's up to you guys. You might want to pay $10 extra to get this box. It's a legit thing. I feel I got my $10 worth. I hate to say it. Not that you should have to spend $10 extra for a box, but I think it'll look good, you know, to kind of display this. Because I like to display my pistols and look at them and enjoy them. That might look pretty good to set this up, you know, as a display with the gun next to it, you know, on a little stand. Certainly classic vintage, you know, OEM. It says Star Automatic Pistol. Star Bonifacio Echeverria. Who can speak Spanish? I think Brastard speaks Spanish, don't you? Are you still in here? Where you live, you must speak a little Spanish, man. 45-degree angle. Oh, that's helping a little bit, isn't it, guys? Yeah. It's just hard because this isn't just clear plastic. This is, there we go. This is clear plastic, but it's also frosted plastic. You guys get the picture. And I've seen some of these on Classic Site and others where you could get this in a green too, where it's solid green. And instead of it being like this brittle plastic, it's like a softer plastic that has it more like embossed in it. This is like, you know, formed in and molded in. This is a clear. But anyways, it's interesting. I might have to buy another one of these stars so I can hope for a green case, right? Is that pretty geeky? Oh, SwitchPod's the one that told me to angle it, not Mateo. I'm sorry. I saw both your names there. All right. Well, did I bore you guys enough on these, or do you guys have any questions on these? If you want the variety and quality and you're willing to pay a little more, I'd probably say go to J&G. You might want to go there anyways because they also have the $179 ones. But, you know, it just depends. Here's what I've noticed. If you're buying one pistol, their shipping's about the same. And, you know, the shipping's about the same if you're buying one pistol. Here's what I've noticed. Classic, they'll ship you your second pistol and only raise shipping like $1. So if you're buying one of these, it'll be like $21 from Classic. Two of them will be $22 shipped. J&G, it'll be like $22 for one or like $38 for two. They barely give you a discount on multiples. So if you're really, really shopping price, Classic and J&G both have them starting at $180. If you're buying one, I'd probably just say J&G. If you're really worried about price and you're buying two pistols, go to Classic. If you want quality and you want a company that does pay more attention to hand select, or in this case, if you want to spend the, you know, the $300, you can actually get one, or $279. I'm sorry, not $300. If you want to spend, you know, about $100 extra, you can get one that looks brand new. So there you go. Again, if you guys get a bad deal from either of them, I'm not endorsing either of these companies. Definitely, they don't support the channel. I've had tons of problems with Classic in the past, to be honest with you guys. But me loving Milsurps, I still go back to them because I don't want to cut my nose to spite my face. Now, they have taken care of the problems too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, so don't ever take this as an endorsement, guys. If you have a bad experience with them, whatever. I think you just end up with bad experiences when you buy Milsurps. It's just the way it works. It's not easy to be in a Milsurp collecting. Oh, Braster, that's cool. I was just saying you okay, a Chevra. Okay, you did hear me a little bit. I can't read Spanish, so I don't know exactly what this word is, and you probably can't see it very good on your end because it's in a frosted clear. But there it is. A Chevra. Bonifacio? A Cheveria? I don't know. But yeah, Brastard said there's a plant there. You do speak some Spanish, don't you, Brastard? I would assume. I don't know. He lives down south there right on the border, guys. So, or near the border compared to me. I'm probably just as close to the international border as he is because I'm like right across the lake from Canada. I'm right on the northern part where I live here in Michigan. So I'm close to the international border, but Brastard's a lot closer to the one that speaks Spanish than I am. The part of Canada that I'm near speaks English, but then obviously they speak French and whatnot up there too. Which maybe we'll need to find some Canadian guys to talk to when we do some French pistols eventually here. But yeah, any more star questions, guys? Looks like Poor Conservative stopped in. How's it going, man? Nice to see you. If I missed one of you guys in here, just say hi to me again. Oh, guy that comments was in here earlier. How's it going, man? Nice to see you here. I invited you to come back, and I'm glad you did. Let's see here. I thought I saw Lehman Roos in here. Yeah, there you are, Lehman. I know it's been a while, but if you're still here, nice to see you here, man. Lehman did an interview last night on Zeke Shoot's channel. If you guys want to hear Lehman in his interview, he had a lot of interesting things to say and was talking about some gun rights legislation he's working on. SwitchPod's here. What's up, man? Oh, glad you could join me. I know you were busy with your family and stuff, but hopefully you guys are done with your plans. But yeah, glad to see you stop in. Cave Dave's still here. What's up, Cave Dave? You're still hanging in there? All right. I'm going to show you guys one more thing because I promised I would. And you know what sucks is the guy that's into Glocks that was talking to me at the very beginning, there's like no way he's still here. But maybe he'll come back and look later. Who was that? Right off the bat, Ninja Scout. I don't know if you're still here, but I know you were talking about the Glock. But if there's no more star questions, if you guys have them, drop them in here. You know, maybe I can still answer it for you. But this Glock, pistol caliber pistol, right? So I've had the Endo Tactical adapter with the brace for a while. And if you guys remember, I was doing some initial unboxing of some of the final accessories. So here it is, guys. It's only one part away from being where I want it to be. Right now I'm running the 357 SIG barrel still. This can be easily changed to 40 with the same magazine, or 9mm with this 9mm conversion barrel and a 9mm mag. So we're just like a barrel change or maybe mag change away here from having 3 different calibers. Pretty cool. And someone was asking me earlier where to start with a conversion barrel. Well, you got a couple options. You know, there's Storm Lake. This is a Lone Wolf Distributors. This is a really good barrel. Fit and finish of it is pretty high. Very well machined, polished, no machining marks. These are about $100. Oh, Ninja Scout is still here. I'm talking about barrels right now, man. Thanks for staying around here for so long. So this 9mm conversion barrel, meaning it can be fired from the Glock 22, which that's what this is, a Gen 2 Glock 22. This is a 9mm conversion barrel, and this is key, guys. You can't just simply take a Glock 17 barrel and throw it in a Glock 22 slide. It's not going to work. The outer circumference of the barrel is going to be too small on the Glock 17, and it's just not going to work properly. Will it technically maybe work on a test shot or two? Maybe, but we're not going to get into that. For all practical purposes, you need what's called a 40-9 conversion barrel. Now, this is a Lone Wolf Distributors. It's got the little wolf logo on it there. And you can see where it says 40-9, okay? Right in front of where the barrel locks up, okay? So these are about $100. Very high degree of fit and finish. Machining's basically impeccable on it, and there you are. Now, Bear Creek Arsenal, BCA, Bear Creek Arsenal, they have other options, which I was showing on this gun when I did the barrel review. Now, these are $40. Now, you can get their 9mm, Glock 22 conversion barrel for about $40. Or in this case, this is a Glock 31 barrel. Chambered properly for 357 SIG. I don't know why my focus won't come back. Wow, that was crazy. It was like super blurry for like a minute. I think Streamlabs is in the house. I don't run bots on here, guys, by the way. No bots, no censoring on this channel. Say what you want. I don't care. As long as it's not going to violate YouTube's terms and get us all kicked out of here, you guys follow me. Other than that, say what you want. I don't care. So this is a 357/31. Now, this one I picked up at Bear Creek, Ninja, and this one was only $40. Now, in this case, this isn't really a conversion barrel. This is just a 357 SIG chambered Glock 31 barrel, because the Glock 31 has the same size barrel, basically, as the Glock 22. They also take the identical mags between a Glock 22 and a Glock 31, which is the full frame, full size 357 SIG. So it wouldn't really be, correct technically to call this a, 357 SIG conversion barrel, because that's not really what it is. In this case, you could take this barrel right out of this gun and drop it right into a Glock 31 and you're good to go. You just can't go backwards from the Glock 22 to the Glock 17. There you're going to need the conversion. So it's $40. Here's the deal. I've not shot accuracy testing on both of these side by side. They're different calibers, so there's going to be a whole, kind of variable there too. But I will say the fit and finish on the Bear Creek, it's not quite as good. Now, is it bad? Is it ugly? No. It's just, it doesn't have quite the high degree of polishing and fit and finish and whatnot. Let me see if I can pull this out real quick. What's happening, Mike J? Nice to see you here, buddy. Armed Ape's still here. Remember I told you guys I was arguing like crazy with someone last night, but we're still buds. Not to mention any names, but... Okay, let me take this off of here real quick. Here's the Bear Creek. Now look, this barrel is fully functional. Just keep in mind, at the end of the day, this is what's great about America as of now, until they flag all of us. We have a lot of choices. So $100, I'd say, 9 out of 10 for as far as fit and finish, machining, blah, blah, blah. $40. As far as the function of it, fine. It's good to go. Accuracy, I don't know yet. This is still a relatively new project for me. Just getting the gun together. But, the machining on this, 7 out of 10. Just the cosmetic portion. And when I say machining, I don't mean like it's not going to fit or anything. It fits fine. But you can see like some little machining lines. There you go. See the machining lines where they didn't quite finish polishing it? You can see a few little tooling marks and stuff. Hey, look, if these were both $100 equally, I'd probably get the Lone Wolf. But for this being $40, this may actually be a better deal. So Mike J said I had to drop in for this glorious live stream. You missed the little sermon too, so if you want to take part in the prayer service, you can go back, you know. But yeah, switch pod, tooling marks. Yep. Tooling marks, machining marks, whatever. Machining marks from the tooling that the machines use, right? Anyways, the threads were fine. I had to kind of not really do much, but just kind of real lightly mess with this with a little bit of compound on these threads. Nothing I had to run a die over, nothing I had to send back. I'm just telling you, there's just a few little things here. You know, but yeah, I don't know if that helps you, Ninja Scout, but that's the two that I'm mainly familiar with is the Bear Creek and the but now it threads on just fine, guys. Not a problem. There's the Bear Creek, run you about $40, and then you know this Lone Wolf. After buying a Lone Wolf, I gave the Bear Creek a try. Right now for this gun, I've got 3 barrels for it. I'd buy another one of these, not a problem. I don't need one right now, but if I needed another Glock barrel, I'd buy one. So basically, I'm running 3 different brands of barrels on this rig. I have the Glock OEM in the 40 caliber, the Bear Creek Arsenal, BCA, in the 357 SIG, and then the Lone Wolf distributors in the 9mm. So, hey. Yeah, it was $140 for 2 more caliber options, Ninja, and that's just due to the brands I went with. If you're on a budget, it'd be only $80 more, really, because you could get 2 of these for $40 a piece. I just chose to buy this from Lone Wolf a few years ago. I hadn't really heard of Bear Creek then. This was like 5-6 years ago, but they do sell the 40 to 9mm conversion barrel also for $40 on Bear Creek. Now, depending on the sale, they might be a little more today than they were. But yeah, now to go from 40 to 357 SIG, it's only going to cost you $40 because they're the same mags. I will note for you, Ninja, though, there's one more little catch. If you're going to 9mm, yes, you can physically shoot them out of a 40 mag. I have. But if you're wanting any kind of reliability, or before I would even consider using it as any kind of defensive gun or anything to compete with, and literally unless it's just a totally fun range toy, you can do this. But it's not recommended to run a 49 in the 40 mag. You should buy a 9mm mag. So what you'll be looking at is Glock 17 or Glock 18 mags is what you're going to be looking at. Glock 19 mag, this is if you have a 22. I have no idea what gun you're running. But if you have a 22, you're obviously not going to be able to run, you know, a Glock 19 mag because it's just not going to be long enough, right? This grip frame is longer than the 19. So, but you can run a Glock 17 9mm mag. The frames are the same, whether it be a Glock 19, Glock 19, Glock 17, Glock 22, or Glock 31. Same frame. So you're not going to have a problem putting this Glock 18, which is the, you know, machine pistol version of the Glock 17. You're not going to have a problem putting that in there. So if it's 9, it's going to be a barrel and mag conversion. If it's 40 to 357 SIG, just a barrel. Now, you may want to change recoil springs and other things like that. I don't know how much of a rabbit hole you guys want to go down with that, but depending. Now, what I'm going to do is I had bought an extra powered spring from what's their names? Why can I not remember the name of it now? Help me out, Mateo. Mateo's the one that sent me the link of where I bought that extra powered spring. But what I've done with this rig, and let me put this back together. I'll show you guys kind of where I'm at with this, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of get the stream wrapping up. I was only going to stay on for an hour, and here we are. But hey, I'm having fun. So basically, I was going to take this and put the extra powered spring on here since I'm running the 357 SEG and the 40. Because this is kind of one thing I don't like about Glock. Glock will take the same exact recoil spring, and they will use the same one for the 17, which is 9mm, as they do for the 22, which is 40. And I think a lot of that is the reason why people will say, oh, you know, 40 recoils too violently, or it's not pleasant to shoot. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's nice to have a little bit higher poundage recoil spring on your Glock 22 if you're shooting 40 in it than 9. So I had an extra power recoil spring for, you know, shooting 40 and 357 SIG. Well, as this project's evolved a little bit here, I'm now adding some extra weight to the slide, okay? So as you guys know, there's a couple things that can retard recoil or retard an action opening or slow down an action, however you want to look at it. And that would be spring tension or just regular old mass. So I've added this little red dot on the top that I did the unboxing of. So far, so good. It's not a fancy one. It's not expensive, guys, at all. This is just a little ADE. Let's see where it says that at. ADE. This was around $40. Just wanted to see if I like, you know, having a red dot on here. This is that two-folk adapter that I showed you guys. I did a whole video on this adapter. And yeah, it's got kind of a goofy little on-off switch on the back. I get it, but so far it's working just fine. It's illuminating right now. It has two different illumination settings, a high and a low. But yeah, looking pretty good. What I've also done is put on that Recover Tactical. Now, this is a Gen 2 Glock, guys. There was no accessory rail on the front, but Recover Tactical makes this. It basically clips on and then bolts together. There's a couple little screws and nuts in here that hold this together. You can see them right there. And now it's allowing me to have a light. So I've got my red dot, I've got my brace, and now I have a light. And it's a comfortable little rig, really. I mean, I'm kind of happy with it, actually. Red dot's working good. I know it's a cheap red dot. You guys can all bombard me at once and say that red dot totally sucks. It's fine, guys. It's just what I'm using here for just testing purposes, and I'll run it till it breaks. Why not? If I ever decide this is going to be a serious, like, you know, life and limb type of gun, obviously I may reconfigure the red dot immediately. But for now, it's just not really going to pick up the dot, guys. I'm sorry. I can see it just fine. It's just the way the lights are shining. There we go. There we go. Oh, I almost had it. I don't know if you guys saw it for a second there. It's hard because there we go. There's the red dot. You guys can see it. Now it's washed out because I have like a lot of extra lights going all around me for filming, and it's a white wall. But hey, it works. Let's put it that way. Now, what I was saying earlier about mass, this red dot with the adapter and all that weighs a little bit. So what I did is I went back to the regular stock Glock spring, the same one they put in the 17 and the 40s. So I'm going to go with now a little bit weaker spring so that I'm not going to encourage the gun to want a short cycle with the extra weight that's now been added to the slide. I guess another option is I could, you know, port the slide, remove material from it. I think for now, though, I'm just going to go with a little bit reduced poundage recoil spring, substituting the lesser spring for a little more mass on the slide. If I'm still having some problems, maybe, like, say, running 9mm, if it's short stroking it a little bit with real cheap ammo, say this Tula stuff or this Federal 115 grain, then I may decide to cut a window up here in the top. I'll probably just cut one rectangular window in the top of the slide, and then it should be fine for 9mm too. So we'll see. But I think as of right now, I'm going to be pretty good for 357 SIG and 40 certainly. So there's basically only one more thing I want to do to this little rig, and I'm going to be pretty happy with it, guys. Basically, Tim 18 Wheels says AIM Surplus has Leo trading Glock 22s for $300. Yep. And I don't think those are Gen 3s. Now, I bought this, you know, 7 years ago or so. This was a little over 200 at the time, right around 200, I think. Maybe 209. And it was a Gen 2 at that time they were getting rid of. So the trade-ins have gone up in price some. But you are getting newer generations, if that means something to you. Now, I kind of like the Glock Gen 2, to be honest with you. I like the fact that it's rather smooth and doesn't have the sandpaper grip. It's pretty comfortable, especially with this rig. And by the way, for those of you that don't like the Glock grip angle for a pistol, try it like a rifle, if you will. Now, this is not a rifle, as you guys know, and I don't intend it to be, but if you're bracing it and shooting it in the manner in which you kind of would a rifle with a point of contact on your cheek, this becomes a perfect rifle grip angle. I mean, it gets right in there. Feels a lot like an AR-15 grip, to be honest with you. So if you like the Glock grip angle, you're going to like it. If you don't like that grip angle, try it in something like this. You might be surprised. It just feels like a more of a rifle grip, even though, again, this is not a rifle and I don't intend it to be. But you guys get the legalese on all this. But yeah, basically where I'm at is this. Now, if I was a lefty, maybe, right? But I shoot right-handed. So even though this knob here is kind of tempting to cock it off of, it's not right because I have to take my complete shooting hand off of the gun. So, and then I could cock it off the top here using the red dot, which I may do. But with this being a cheaper red dot, what I'm thinking about getting is there's a couple accessories. There's one that the Glock store sells called the Longhorn slide pull charging handle. You can look that up on Glock store. The Longhorn slide pull charging handle. And there's another product that's made by a company called Tactical Gun Parts, and it is called the Slide Racker charging handle for Glock. And what these are is they take your rear slide plate here. Let me get back where I can see my camera. Your little plastic rear slide plate, you take that out and you replace it with an aluminum one that now has a little hook. Almost looks like an AK charging handle. You can choose right-handed or left-handed. So what I think I'm going to get is one of these rear slide plates that has the aluminum hook on it. So I can have the gun up here, braced properly into my cheek or into my arm, whatever. And then if I need to rock the slide, right? Obviously, if there's a full mag or whatever, I can drop the slide release. I will note I put an extended slide release on this, which helps a lot. And I also put an extended mag catch on here, which, as you can see, as I dropped it on my keyboard, helps a lot. Here's the original parts. And by the way, this takes like 2 minutes, guys. I've never been a Glocksmith, but my buddy on here talked me through it on the phone in like 1 minute. These are like grade school level, easy to change. So if you don't think you can, trust me, you can. But yeah, extended mag release and the extended slide stop. But I'm going to put this rear charging handle, if you will, that goes on the back of this, slide cover. And I'll be able to actually keep the gun in position just like this. Reach up here, just like an AK. It feels natural to me. I'll be able to grab onto it with my finger, rack the slide back, let it go forward. So that's really about the only modification I'm going to do to this gun. I've got an optics mount. I've got a brace with the attachment point here. I've got a nice little light. This O-light, this is the PL Mini Valkyrie. Seems pretty bright, 400 lumens. You can hold the switch down and release it for momentary, or you can just tap it and it's going to stay on. You can actuate it from this little paddle, if you will, from the left or the right side. You just push down. They both work the same. They're both downstrokes. Whereas like on a Streamlight, it's kind of like a pivot where it pivots back and forth. These are just more like, little like soft buttons almost. They have like a spongy feeling. But yeah, tap it on, tap it off, hold it down, let up. Momentary or constant. Excuse me. So yeah, here's my little rig. I don't know what you guys think of it, but with a barrel swap, I can go from 357 to 40, barrel and mag swap, maybe spring swap, go to 9. Pretty easy. This can all be done like in 2 minutes, any of these swaps. And what is it to keep like 2 extra barrels with you? 2 of these, even 2 different springs. Say I decide to change up the spring for 9mm. That's like nothing. Like you can fit these replacement parts in your pocket and instantly switch 3 different calibers. But yeah, I kind of like it, guys. It's really small and handy. And then the kicker is, if you guys haven't seen this yet with this Endo Tactical, this is not like a big deal. So I can shoot this like a little pistol caliber pistol, right? Set it up more like a rig. And then if I decide I don't want to, literally in a pinch, I can just pull this out here. Now it's only because I'm on camera. I know what happened. I tried to tap this in with a hammer to make it more sure. But basically, you just pull this little pin out here. There we go. Yeah, don't do that, guys. There's a little ball detent. I don't know why I was doing this earlier. I put this in there and gave it like a little tap. But all you do is you pull this little pin out that's held into the hole that's already there on your stock Glock. And then you just literally grab this and pull it out. Now this whole device, the brace and the adapter are gone. And now it's just back to being a regular pistol again with an optic on it and a light. So there you go in 2 seconds. If all of a sudden you're in an area where this is pretty small and handy, This is really small and handy. But if it's too big and you need to go to regular pistol, it's literally pulling a pin. This is off. Drop it on the ground, throw it in your car, depending on your situation, and you're back to just having a regular old handgun again. Which having an optic on it's not a bad thing, and having a light's not going to be a bad thing either. So this is kind of cool that you guys can get into one of these, and it's just not that big of a deal. Like, yeah, overall, this is, you know, I've got a little bit of money into this, but it didn't seem that way because it's like, you know, I bought the gun 7 years ago. 6 years ago, I bought this barrel. Okay. Nowadays, everything takes Glock mags. So I already have like 10 different guns that take 9mm Glock mags. So those are just here already. Was able to get some 40 caliber law enforcement trade-in mags that are in great shape for like 12 bucks a piece. I think Aim Surplus had those just the other day, a few weeks ago rather. I bought these. So, and then $40 barrel here. Got this on sale, you know, Black Friday, not this past one, but a year and a half ago. This has been sitting new in the box for over a year, you know, 20-something dollars here, $40 there. I mean, no doubt it adds up, but it's something you can kind of do as you go, you know, where you don't have to, you know, just drop like that $800 right off the bat on a pistol caliber pistol. You can kind of make it your own. And there's not really much more modular than a Glock. Love them or hate them, you know, unless you can, if you hate them, you hate them. I get that. But unless you hate a Glock, you have to at least admit there's something to them. There's a lot of different, aftermarket stuff available. Lots of competition. You can get a lot of pretty darn affordable Glock accessories, guys, for pretty good prices. I know Smith & Wesson M&Ps, same thing applies to those, but I still think Glock's kind of the king, isn't it? I mean, Glock's the only gun I know, basically, where you can build a complete entire Glock from start to finish and not use one actual Glock part. So I think you guys know what I mean there. But yeah, nice little rig. And I'll shoot it like this still, guys. This is cool. Not a problem. 357 SIG. Looking forward to shooting that more. Nice little powerful round. I think you guys probably know. And like Mateo just said, you can do polymer 80 builds too. Zeke's back. What's up, Zeke? He says, this is Glock's favorite thing. I swear he loves this brace. Well, it's been kind of my thing, you know, where I've been just kind of showing the evolution of this little project. Yeah, here's your 357 SIG, guys. 40 case. Shooting basically a 9mm projectile. Now, you'll notice these are always going to be a truncated bullet, right? Even though this is 125 grain, they're never going to have the point. They're always going to be the flat nose, and that's just due to the limitations of the size of the magazine, right? So if you were to take and put this with the case, you know, being a little bit longer. Oops, I'm dropping stuff here. With the case being longer than the 9mm case, see what I'm saying now? The bullet, if it was a regular round nose, would be a little too long to fit in the magazine. So you're always going to find a shorter, stubbier, truncated bullet. And that's just simply for reasons of it fitting into the magazine. So if you ever wonder that, guys, why your noses are always flat. And Mateo 1371 is the one that kind of brought that to my attention, and I never really thought about it, but he's like, if you notice, you're not going to see any ball rounds in the 357 SIG. And I said, well, come to think of it, I haven't. Why is that? Pick up this round here before it gets eaten under the dust. And he said, well, it wouldn't fit in the mag. And I said, oh, gotcha. So, yeah. So anyways, yeah, it has been an interesting chat. We've talked about red flag laws, the tyranny, the slippery slope that both parties of government are putting in. We talked about Black Friday for a little bit and thanked Jesus for dying for us, and thanked God for sending his son down to us. And we talked about that. We've talked about the Star pistols quite a bit, right? Got back into this Glock rig a little bit. And we're going to have another one for us to look forward to soon, because I finally pulled the trigger. Palmetto had an Easter sale, guys, and I finally stepped over to the complete dark side. Now, look, this channel still primarily likes the AK, right? But also likes the AR quite a bit too, as you guys have noticed. So I definitely decided to cross over into the other territory, if you know what I mean, like colluding. Okay, here's the way to word this. Since Trump was found innocent of colluding with the Russians, I decided I needed to start doing some colluding of my own. So guess what I bought, guys? It was part of the Easter sale, and it's a pistol. I'll give you guys that. But let's just say I'm colluding with the other side here. So I'm an AK guy, okay? And I'm still one of your bigger sources for AKs on YouTube. But I also get into the AR a little bit too, right? Well, I out and out colluded the other day, and I got a what did I get? Does anyone have a guess? And I'm gonna leave you guys here with that. But let's see here. Oh, Ryan says Zeke's out of here. I'm colluding. Don't tell Zeke I'm colluding, guys. If Zeke's still here, don't tell him. Oh, Mateo knows. Okay, guys, I colluded. Yes, this is still an AK channel. Yes, we like ARs here, but now we're also going to bring a KS to the table. KS 47. So, as you guys know, that's kind of like an AR, but what's cool about it is it doesn't take those stupid, kind of like angled, but like a 90-degree hard angled, goofy mags that I don't like by C Products. No, it's an AR pistol that's going to take AK mags. 760 by 39. Got a great deal on it, I thought. It was like $220 for the pistol lower, completely assembled with the SBA3 brace. So for those of you that aren't familiar, that's a little, let me grab this. I have another brace pistol here. SBA3 kind of acts like a M4 stock. It's got the multiple adjustment positions, right? So it's going to come with one of these braces on it, but it's going to be a KS receiver, right, that takes the AK mags. That was $220. And then for $280, I bought the complete upper 8.5-inch barrel cat can. It has like a 10-inch rail where basically the rail covers the whole barrel and half of the cat can, which is basically like a, you know, it's kind of like a flash and muzzle, not really a booster, but it's a forwarder. It sends all the flash and flames and stuff forward, and it redirects some of the sound forward. Doesn't make it quieter. It's not a silencer, but you guys get the point. It's a really cool looking rig. You guys should probably go on there on their Easter deals or on their daily deals. You'll see it. I bought the 8.5-inch upper with the CAC can on it, the flash can, whatever you want to call it, and then the SBA3 lower, $500 plus tax, free shipping. So, yep, I'm apparently going to be a KS guy too, KS 47. And we can thank somebody in the crowd here for enabling me on that. So here's the thing. I'm trying to enable you guys throughout the next year on the SKS, enabling you guys reasons to get Glock upgrades. But don't get me wrong, you guys have been known to enable me quite a bit too. So, yep, I'm officially colluding, guys. I've gone to the other side. So this channel is going to be AKs, ARs, and now the KS too. But that was a good guess, Tim, an AR-9 pistol. I don't have one of those yet. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I do have, as you guys have seen, I'm not going to show it really much. I've bored you guys enough. But I do have the AK 9mm pistol. So with an AK-9 here, AR-9 might be on the table here. So that's not a bad guess, man. Especially I got to keep on finding reasons to use all these Glock mags I was talking about, right? All right, guys. I thought I was going to be on an hour. It has been 2 hours and 45 minutes. And like Zeke's thanking me for being a channel that's devoted to AKs. Not a problem. I obviously show quite a few AKs. We're going to do the SKS for a year, but there'll be AKs showing up here, it's, you know, in the meantime. My channel, Armed Ape, I'm devoted to AKs. The KS-47. Yeah, those are cool too. Now, me having a lot of AK mags, though, that's why I wanted the, oh, you said KS-47. That's the one I bought. I'm sorry. I read that backwards. I thought you said AR-47. Yeah. The AR-47, special mags. That's what killed it for me. Never bought one. The KS-47, though, AK mags. Sorry, I just made myself sound completely retarded. It's just I'm reading one sentence that says AR and the next says KS, but yeah. I shied away from the AR-47s just because of that weird magazine setup. But I do like it that I can run the AK mags in the KS. And it became highly referred and highly tested by Mateo 1371, actually. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys staying this long. A couple of you guys have been here since the very beginning. Like Cave Dave said earlier, pimp your ride. That's this Glock, right? And this would be, he does bring up a good point. Even like a lady that has a hard time gripping the slide, that'd be good for her. In my case, with me running it as more of a rig, you know, not really in my shoulder necessarily, but with it kind of being shouldered, it's going to give me a way to you know, release the slide like that to charge it. I might just rack it off of this red dot, but I don't know. Boy, this extended mag release sure is nice, guys. Just that little bump they put on there. Holy crap. Like, why did I run this gun for so many years without this? Like, this is literally insane. I can just push it down with my forefinger like butter. Can't recommend this enough. These are nice. They're cheap, too. Got this on eBay. You know, I can't remember what it was now, but 10 or 12 bucks for an OEM Glock. Kind of a lot for a little piece of metal, but boy, I'm regretting I didn't do this a long time ago. Yeah, so if I missed any of you guys' comments, I'm sure they were good, and I do go back and read them. So I'm sure you're already gone, but if not, good night, Tree Guy, and God bless you and yours, and have a great weekend too. All right, guys. Well, I guess it's no longer Good Friday, so let's get ready for Easter. As we know, Jesus died and was sacrificed for our sins yesterday, but then he arose from the dead, so we get to look forward to that in 2 days here. So I'm sure you guys will be having a good time with your families and whatnot, and you guys have a good Easter too. I'm just basically going to take one last look at the comments here. Mateo said NDZ is a great source for aftermarket Glock parts. If you guys want to check that out. So I thank you guys all for being here. Some of you have been here the whole time. Thanks for wasting so much of your life to hang out with me. I'm honored, and I do appreciate it. So, all right, guys. Happy Easter. God bless you and your families, and everyone be safe this weekend, and I will see you guys soon. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.